Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League, season number 2, week 2. We are out in France on the RGV course for the first team time trial of 3. I'm Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll next to me. Dave, you just did this yesterday with some crazy fast racing, and now we're jumping into the EMEA for the Europe, Middle Eastern, Africa. Today we're going to be covering the division. There's so many divisions. There's multiple of them all over the place. Actually, if you go to, I don't know if the graphic is out there, but there's this crazy graphic that Martin has put together of how many different divisions and categories that there are across, especially at this time zone. I think that they've got like something around 20 plus. Martin, how many? I think there's so many in going on. 30 going out at this time. 30. Amazing, Dave.
Absolutely. This is a phenomenon when you talk about what's going on here. Nathan, I love this course, RGV. If you enjoy the discipline of team time trialing, it does not get better than what we've got for you here today. It's a little under 25K. And to show you how competitive things were in the Premier League, as you noted, Nathan, yesterday, I believe it was 3 teams within 5 seconds of each other on the podium, something like that. I mean, it was incredible how close the top 10 teams were, all of the teams for that matter. So racing was at its very, very best yesterday. I'd expect the same thing. It's also nice to note, Nathan, one of the community teams that made the jump up, that got the promotion, Kirkmeyer, they had an incredible ride. 2nd place out there. So keep your head up, community teams. Keep the pressure on. And there's no doubt that that's been one of the fun things that we've been able to really dig deep on is watching these teams grow, going up a level. You wonder how they're going to do. Well, they stacked up quite nicely. So a lot of racing to look forward to today. So many folks love this team time trial. Huge thanks again to our friends at WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League, for all the work that they do. I was going to say, Nathan, behind the scenes, but it's not behind the scenes. It's right up front and center, man. This racing has become the thing with tens of thousands of folks participating.
Yeah, and for what we are covering today, we are going to be on the mixed/men's, men's/mixed EMEA East Division 1A. So we'll be covering the top 1A division, but it's East 2. So there's an East 1 and an East 2. Last week we covered East 1 Division 1A. So it's the top end of the second half. So there's so many, and the reason for that is that there are limits to the amount of teams that can be in a single division. So that's the reason why there are these separations. So, which I think is actually a really good idea, to have some competitiveness amongst all of the teams, and people can kind of start to sort themselves out and figure out where they stand exactly too, Dave, amongst all these riders.
Nathan, I wanted to note it's been really cool watching the folks in the other levels of racing as well, as we welcome so many folks from the everyman all the way up to the World Tour Pro taking place, throughout the different leagues. So it's a good problem to have when you end up with all of these divisions in the East and the West, and it just speaks to the volume of racers that are just absolutely loving this format. So this is the ZRL. We're into week number 2 of season 2. Nathan, I have to say that some of the feedback that we got from week 1, the points, the way things have been slightly restructured, seems like it's been nothing but positive and well received out there as being just going a little bit deeper, keeping a few more folks involved, giving you more of a reason to race and feel like you're contributing to the team out there. I know that you see that in all the different levels. Folks are taking this really, really seriously. It's something, again, that you can invest in yourself with. You get fitter, you make new friends, you become a part of this community. And here we go. This is going to be an incredibly competitive season. I think we saw that already in week number 1. But I love this team time trial format. And the folks that race on Thursdays with us, they've got a distinct advantage because, Nathan, as you yourself have this team time trial phenomenon out there racing, the first couple of times you do this, boy, is the learning curve steep. I mean, every couple of minutes, you have an aha moment out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think as far as people learning how to do a team time trial, it's very different than what you're used to. People didn't really understand coming into team time trials up front. Even when we first started broadcasting, the tactics and what people were doing have evolved so much just in the last 6 to 9 months, actually. Like, there's just a reality that people have really been figuring out the team tactics here. How you play the team time trial is very different than just going out and pedaling the bike hard. Very different even than a pack dynamic for a scratch race. So let's go ahead and jump on into the current series standings, though, for the East 2 Division 1A here. As we go ahead and see where things are at between all of the different categories we'll be looking at for this East 2. Dave, that's all on you there. What is happening at the top? There were 2 guys.
Well, so 20 points is what we award the winner of each race. So, and it works its way down by 1 point, as you can see, and that's going to be 2 guys, Carmulo there, who took top points on week 1 of season 2, GFTBE. Was second, the Zwift kids in third. So again, this is our Europe, Middle East, and Africa E2 Division 1A. It's mixed, men's mixed. So, see the Zwift kids in third, FZR in fourth, the World Elite Zwifters, informally known as the WES, number 3 in fifth, TSC Robustica in sixth, the DBR Warriors at seventh, the Belgian Zwift Riders, Eagles 3. Boy, did they have a standout ride. And we're looking at them in eighth, INC Alien Resurrection for ninth. And then our top 10 rounded out by R3R, Dab Abra. And I'll throw it over to you, Nathan, for the Bees.
And it's going to be the Kirchmar BBs there with 20 points last week. And they are currently leading things out. SZ Sleipner, followed up by SOW Gruppetto. Dirty Beasts Hellhounds, followed up by Vegan Bobcats. Vikings Gleipner. And then DZR Winded Warriors. Belgian Zwift Riders Lions 2. And TFC Defenders Boudre Bourgogne. I'm going to say, if I've got my French right there. That's the situation currently for this division that we are covering this week. That's the E2 Division 1B in the B category. We'll be looking at these riders. We will be going across all the categories as best we possibly can throughout the TTT and the C's, Dave.
Yeah, I love the fact that we are able to do that. The C's have DZR Fast and Fun, taking the top points on the table here with 20. Crowdgen Puy de Dome in second. Kirkmeyer Hunting Bees in third. Fifth, Tugas, the Jerez, and then you've got Evo Core in sixth, Viking Skull seventh, RMACC 45CDO in eighth, PDQC Alphabet Soup here, PDQC in ninth, and then we've got Engulf rounding out our top 10 for the C's.
Interesting, fourth place held up by the Invisible Team there. We'll see.
Yeah.
And it looks like we've
You
got
know, it's
nothing
always
going
good to have a
down
little
with the.
mystique, a little intrigue.
Let's go ahead and jump right on into what's going down out on course, though, as we do have Army Cycling A out on course in this East 2 Division 1A. They went out pretty hot. It looked like with one of the riders. It was C. O'Neill that was off the front for quite a while, actually, early on, and was breaking things apart. They had to slow down, actually, Dave, a little bit, I think, and that is what has brought some of this time back with DWRT, I think, getting them back into the story, at least to bring back some time very quickly, because the time gaps are, I believe, 1 minute between the riders. Or is it going to be, I mean, need a correction on that, but I believe it is 1 minute between each one of the teams heading out on course. So it does look like a solid amount of time has been brought back by DWRT.
Yeah, we used 30 seconds in the Premier League yesterday, and there were it would well, so we had so many teams finishing just seconds apart from each other that I didn't see one pass on the men's side of things. That's how competitive it was. You set a very aggressive schedule. Some of the teams went out a little too hot, and that's something that we often talk about. Can you sustain the pace that you're riding at? The answer, more often than not, is no. So one of the things that is super, super impressive are the teams that nail that scheduling. Pacing a big part of this. We should talk about the details out here as well, Nathan, because yeah, as you said, this is not an exercise contest, and it's really decidedly different than a standard time trial when you talk about the team element.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there is a reality here that um, the way that the riders go out separately. They need to hang out in the pens actually for 1 minute. It is timed then outside of Zwift. A lot of people are wondering, well, what's going on? What's up with the team time trial mode? There is no actual mode in game. This is set up and tracked by WTRL with all the data, and that's going on now 92 weeks actually that they've been doing that out on Zwift. That started on Thursdays, and that was picked up then in partnership with Zwift to then launch it into being part of the Zwift Racing League in order to bring this new way of racing. Because I think there's a reality that the scratch racing, points racing, that is one way to do things. But then there's also the reality, that adding a new element that kind of gamify a little bit and also bring the team aspect, because working together, you've got to bring everybody, forward to the line is a minimum here, Dave.
Exactly, Nathan. Forward to the line, and that really. So one of the things that you realize is the really good teams here, you don't realize who that fourth rider is, as everybody is able to work through the rotation, take their pulls, some pulls longer than others. A team, by the time you get to the point, Nathan, that you have a rider who's entirely sitting on, not taking any pulls, that's where the disparity in talent and ability on the team is great enough that it's a little hard to get that to work. You need the riders to be close enough in ability to be able to really get the full functioning team time trial dynamic going. You don't want to have one incredibly strong, like Kristen Armstrong, excuse me, racing with four women, right? She's only going to be able to do a limited amount to help those women. She can help women who are closer in ability to her much, much more. You follow what I'm saying there. It really does help when the team has an even distribution of talent.
100%. It definitely does. And finding the right riders for the right team is very, very important, of course. Now, speaking of right riders here, we got Downham, it looks like, from the BRC team. Currently with McCombie, it's going to be Cross, Marcus, Ward, and then Jay Russell. Now, this is not a team that I'm super familiar with, and that's one of the cool things that I like about the Zwift Racing League is that it's bringing so many new teams and riders coming together in order to try and challenge it at the top end of each one of these categories. It's always super fun to see riders getting involved and showing what they're worth. And we also get some new familiarity with riders that might not have been a part of the races we were necessarily covering. So it kind of is bringing the whole of the community all together, which has also been very cool about the Zwift Racing League.
Yeah, it really is. When you see it's comparable to any league sport, I would say, whether it's here in the United States, softball or soccer or football that you play. You really have a bond with those guys or the women on your team. You communicate with them quite a bit, much more than you communicate with other people in your life, with scheduling and the inside jokes that you share. I mean, I think that's one of the huge upsides is the mental health benefit, right, Nathan? If you're sharing inside jokes, that's a really good sign that you're doing okay. You're participating, and that's a big part of how these teams operate. Some are more serious than others, that's for sure. But I don't know of any team that doesn't interject a little bit of humor to keep it light out there. This is a nice job that we're looking at right now. These guys getting it all pro style here, nearly single file. We talk about how hard it is then for the riders that are taking a long, hard pull on the front to slot right back in. So that's where you can really see a talented, experienced team time trialist is their ability. Yeah, we're looking at a team now that is doing a really good job here of keeping the speed high. You're looking at right around 44, 45K, a little bit of up and down through this part of the course. I guess we should talk about the course a little bit, Nathan. The aqueduct is the only point where you really see it pitch up to 5% at all. There's not a lot of climbing. I think it's 133 meters that you have throughout basically 25 meters of climbing. This is such a fun place to ride out on Zwift. That aqueduct is based, it's out of Nimes, France. It's the only three-story aqueduct bridge. So one of those layers would be a road. One of them would carry water. It was a 50-kilometer journey that the water would take from the headwaters to Nimes. And that aqueduct that you see, which does exist, it's absolutely incredible in real life, is one of the coolest features that you see out on Zwift, in my opinion.
Yeah, the recreation of these worlds is absolutely amazing. The work that's been done on this specific course in order to get ready for the virtual Tour de France. Quick turnaround, but that was pretty awesome to see from Zwift, and the aqueduct definitely one of the best features out there. Now, as we do see, it does look like it's going to be. Is this going to be the Foodsray team? I'm going to have to wait and see with the F there. I believe it is with Bovin, Mark Ranka, Sam AU, and then Le Borban, and then Anton Ineselli, which sounds more like an Italian name. Maybe moving on over to France.
Wow.
But there we go. And now the mic
That should
swap
help.
up very deep. Suddenly, Dave has taken like 3 or 4 octaves lower. And loving to hear it. And there's the toll voice coming right on through.
Well, good. Sorry about that. Some tech issues on my end here, but I think that should be a little bit better. Yeah, Nathan, I learned.
Well, Dave, what everybody picked up on now is that you do tons of research because of all the papers that we heard shuffling around over and over again. So everybody knows that Dave is looking up what is going on out on course, that he's got all kinds of notes in front of him. So loving to hear how much research Dave has done for the race out here today.
Well, you're going to be talking about aqueducts and UNESCO sites. You got to do your homework, right? Speaking of homework, I made a little bit of a mistake yesterday. You know our friend Matteo Cigala, the Irishman, right, that we've talked about, he has the Irish flag. I received a message from him that cleared some things up. He's another part of our community, for those that are wondering, who is he talking about here? Well, Matteo told me that, he actually is Italian. He has an Italian passport, but he's lived in Ireland for a long time, loves Ireland, works there. And so he kind of identifies as both, to tell you the truth. But because of esports, he's working with the Italian Federation because he wants to ride for Italy at the next UCI Worlds that we host here on Zwift. So that explains a lot. Yeah.
Oh.
The more you know, right?
Yeah, very, very interesting. I think that also is, I think that's pretty cool. Now, though, it's a hard tension to have, but it's a great also way in which that we're seeing, athletes being able to get opportunities, countries able to get opportunities, get involved in this new, this new sport, and I think it's pretty awesome that Sigala, longtime part of the community and a racer is going to be going for that. Now on the screen here, we've got Antonicelli though, not 5.7 watts per kilogram here from Foudre. Now, just as a heads up, everybody, from what I'm hearing, there is no. We really want to have some data up on screen here. This amount I saw of riders when I logged in, I think we might be at peak Zwift. A new peak Zwift. I wouldn't be surprised at January 19th, 2021 is going to be pushing that last number that we hit that was up in the upper 40,000s. And fingers crossed for the bets on Zwiftcast. If you haven't listened to the recent Zwiftcast in the last couple of months, Simon and myself and GP Lama are having a running bet currently about what is going to be peak Zwift. This last Zwiftcast that came out last week, Simon, of course, being the owner of the Zwiftcast, the one who runs it, officially, in his mind, said that it is over. But I think we get through the rest of this month or even February for 2021 peak Zwift. So, because I bet for 54, I think it was 54,000 something. So that's what I'm shooting for. So I'm hoping we actually get peak Zwift. But speaking of that, if I am winning, we might be losing, though, a little bit of Zwift power data because of the amount that's coming on through there. So we're going to be waiting on that. But we'll be able to at least feature the riders and get an idea of how they're doing with the riders that are around them. Foudre here has not made up too much ground, it looks like, on BRC, and they are being chased pretty solidly here by the DZR team. North Mosegard, it's going to be Hove and Bond here. Kalmar is right there as well. And look at this kit. This is nice looking kit here on these riders as well. They've really put something together, it looks like, here with those Tron bikes.
Wow.
I think the fashion police might be happier with this crowd than they were earlier this morning during the APAC a little bit, as some of the community were pushing back on Anna a little bit on purpose, actually, looking a little bit
really?
mismatched on purpose, actually, yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting following what goes on there. Kate and Anna start the day off with the APAC. This is just all classic Denmark look right now, and they're going by the sunflowers there. It doesn't get much better than that. Anders, Jacob, Jan, Nikolai, Per, and Soren out here. Super strong team. Most got the Danes out in fuego right now. Pio Otto, a good example with the ride that they put together yesterday. So that arch there right at 12K. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, it's a quick ride out here, not much more than 30 minutes as the total distance 25K, just under 25 kilometers. The teams start with 6. It's relatively rare that you see them finish with 6. This team's got some depth and some horsepower, putting on a clinic right now, Nathan. And how you want to do this is they'll hit this twisty section right here. You don't line it up much better than this squad. Watch the rider there with that effort at the back, tagging on. That's one of the pinch points there. That's a crux moment, if you will. We've seen more than one rider not be able to hold on as their team goes by. It sort of defies what you would imagine, where you'd think, you just would finish your pull and you'd slide in. Well, you're at the end of a big effort, so you're pretty much tapping on the gauge at that point. When you come off the front, that's where you're reliant upon the technique, professionalism of the other riders on the team, because if they do accelerate, Nathan, let's just say the guy in the front hits it up to another 2 kilometers per hour on the average speed, that might be just enough to put you over the edge and not allow you to rejoin. So it's a fragile organism when you look at a team time trial squad out here. And the Danes, for any team that's just starting to get into this, if you watch what they're doing, we've talked about the rotation that you're looking for, everybody hopefully able to come through and take a pull. But if you're not, you need to communicate that quickly so that they can readjust. And that's exactly what they're doing, Nathan. They've got some riders that are sitting out. I think that Bond right now is one of the riders that might skip a pull or two, and that's advisable. Rather than go to the front and bog the team down, watch the speed come well under 40K per hour. They want to keep it up and over 40K as they start a little bit of an incline right now. And as I mentioned, this is about the steepest point here as they're going to go by this aqueduct. Again, the graphic designers and that game design team at Zwift do such an incredible job. The only still standing 3-story aqueduct in the world.
Real quickly on the great pickup there, Dave, on the way that this team time trial is being ridden, the tactics of it. We do see them about to catch food tray just ahead, so they are absolutely following. Musegard there, Buj carrying things across. There's a little bit of a gap. They'll have to back off or get carried across. Kalmar as well as Bond, they're going to have to do a little bit of work. Depending on how much they're suffering, which I think they are really suffering at this point, the chasers. So I think they do need that back off and now back up to 5 watts per kilogram for Bush, as you see there. So solid little job to get back together. It would have been better as far as speed goes, perhaps, if they could have got back without going below 5 watts per kilogram. A lot of times when I'm a part of a TTT, if I see that my team is separating, I say I've DS'd a little bit as a part of my team while being a rider, which isn't the most ideal, but when we don't have a DS, you bring maybe a little bit of experience. And so, I'll say, look, hey, just stay at 5 right now. I'll go back, or we'll go back. We'll grab that rider. We'll pull 6. You just stay at 5. We'll bring it back together. Because really that 5 watts per kilogram is usually in the A's right around that threshold area for the top end of the A category. So, but they did have to back off a little bit, most likely because of the climb into the aqueduct. One thing I wanted to point out as well was you see the back off from the front to 0 watts per kilogram almost, and then fading directly to the back, and then that kick at the back. The timing on that kick is so incredibly important that you don't go past the wheels, as you do see these riders going past some of the wheels of their teammates. And that actually, those little bits right there disrupts. And I don't think people understand how important it is to be in the right places, not just when you're about to take the front of the pack. I've seen so many times that a rider's like, oh, it's not my turn yet, in their 3rd, 4th, 5th wheel. And then they have all this time to go to the front, and they're disrupting that line a little bit. And that little extra effort that a rider might have to put in to get past you or to get behind you or whatever it might be, being able to hit a wheel perfectly and soft pedal onto it is as much of a crucial thing as that 6 watts per kilogram on the front. It reserves that little bit of energy, and that is seconds every time you are out of position and somebody has to push a little bit harder to get into the right position. So you watch the fade here. Now watch the kick as it comes through by Heiberg. Now, will he overshoot or undershoot? Did he time it right? It's going to be really important which way it goes. And it looks like he's going to get right on and not disrupt right in front of him. Because if he were to jump in front of Kalmar there, Kalmar's going to have to kick a little bit to get in front of him. And they start getting confused. And that's wasted energy that you do not want to see in a TTT.
Overcorrection, Nathan. That is such an indicator of if your team is riding to the best of their ability. Now, not everyone's going to have the same engine, but Nathan, you hit the nail on the head, my friend, because when you look at it, the teams that are able to stick with their plan or very close to that, and as perfectly noted, if you see a rider come flying up into the middle of the team and then go off the back and then other riders trying to adjust to that, that's just throwing time out the window, and time is the commodity. This has been interesting here, watching these two teams kind of going back and forth as we saw one rider go flying by here. We've talked about the etiquette, how this works, and there's an onus on both teams in this situation when you make this pass. The team that's doing the passing, well, obviously they're making the catch, they're going faster, and they need to step on it a little bit. Much like, hey, there's no written rules about how you do this on the freeway or the highways around the world, but for everyone's safety and for the spirit of the sport, you want to cleanly get past. So these riders in blue, now the team being passed, they have a little bit more obligation here to ease off. These two need to back off a little bit here. I'm going to give them some grace, as they just need to get out of that slipstream, and then they can start racing again. But you can see how some people got the memo, some people didn't. The team here in red, the DZR squad, the Danish team that we've been spending a bit of time with, it's a little frustrating. I think you'll see maybe some chat popping up there. However, just stick with what you're doing, what you're here for. Keep your focus on the racing, your team. Don't let that take your eye off the ball, as they say, to use a stick and ball sport analogy. But you just need to stay focused here and control what you're doing. You can't control what that other team is doing. And you know what, Nathan, if you're going to give that pass a grade, that might not have been an A, but it wasn't that bad either. A high B, B plus for that. And I can understand where the team's getting past. You do have an adrenaline surge. I don't know, Nathan. You probably have never been on a team that has been passed. You guys always do so well out there. But the teams that do get past, there's going to be some riders who, let's say the strongest riders on the team that have been holding back a little bit, trying to help others, they're a little bummed because they know that they could go faster, right? And that's where maturity shows. Just you don't always need to flex. Sometimes just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, and getting really, it is about the speeding up though as you go on through. You really do have to,
Yeah,
and
keep it
there is
going.
you don't speed up though to grab onto a wheel though that's coming by either though. So there's definitely two ends to that stick. That's for sure. Now Lansdowne we're seeing here, Bath CC. I think that's going to be the official name here, as I do see that in a couple of them riders' names here. We're watching N as well as Belton, Shields, Evans, Langley, Hill. It looks like all from the Bath CC Lansdowne. Again, apologies on the data, everybody. We're waiting for it to come through. We have nothing currently coming on in from Zwift Power. Zero data for any event currently. So on the wait on that. Hopefully we get a reset on that. We'll be able to get you everybody some splits. But we will go through each one of the categories here in the East 2 Division 1. We'll do A's, B's, C's, and D's, and we'll try and get across all of them as best we can. At least get all the teams on screen as best as we can. There is some limitations that do happen also, though, with that when we don't have Zwift Power data. So we'll do our absolute best. We jump in with R3R Dev, though. Always great to see the R3R team hammering away. And, DZR, watching them and how organized they were, I'm surprised on their seating there. So I think they really got the TTT down, but perhaps they had a struggle in the points race a little bit last week.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the season that we have. There's not quite as many team time trials. So the teams that have specialized in this, they really want to make hay while it's in the field here. This is one of the classic Zwift teams as we're going to jump in with INC here and Fellows. They look solid, don't they? Look at the speed
look solid here. There's a reason I'm jumping in with them as well, because Fellows most definitely comes from a team that is live streams a lot of their races. Innovation does have a lot of live streamers. See if we can find a few of the riders that are out here on course. I am seeing that Casey Shum is currently streaming. I'm seeing, I believe, Felt IE is out there streaming as well. Barney's out there from Innovation in the pens as well. So great to see all the different riders that are out there streaming currently over on Twitch. You can check out all of those streams very easily by heading over to Twitch, doing a search for Zwift. You'll be able to see the Zwift community live, obviously over on Twitch live as well, but you'll be able to see plenty of live racers' points of view too. Always great to show some support to those who put the effort in to the streaming. Fellows usually streaming. I was going to try and find his stream out here. I was assuming that today he'd be out there doing so, but I think maybe taking a break or perhaps not wanting to get stream sniped. I'm not sure on the day out here today. So, Dave, do you know what stream sniping is? Are you familiar with that term? You familiar with that term? Do you get stream sniped whenever you're playing Apex? People looking at you and trying to figure out where you are to shoot you?
I'm certainly savvy enough to not let that happen. So, for those that are wondering, though, I think the best way to put it would be as you're in game riding on Zwift, watching someone else and seeing what they're doing and trying to glean information from their game. Exactly.
Looks like super familiar. I guess Dave's been taking up some Modern Warfare recently or something. I mean, good to hear. Innovation always super strong. Online. Playing some Doom.
Yeah.
Back to Doom days. Oh man. Is this gonna be Gavin Richardson? This is an old school team actually. We're having Fellows here, Gavin Richardson, Cartledge, Hughes. I mean, these are some of the original names from the Innovation team. Early days when they first got started. So it's great to see these riders jumping into this East 2 Division 1A. So always great to see the riders that have been around for so long. Looks like a little bit of separation though. They've got to wait for at least Jones to get back on terms here. At least, actually, no, excuse me, Fellows. They're going to maybe let Jones go. Hughes backing off a little bit at the front. A little bit of a struggle bus here now for him as they're 25 minutes into their TTT.
Yeah, and I mean, even the strongest teams here, and this is a team with a lot of experience, and this is the corrections that we've been talking about. Now, let's see how they do here. This is a
Yeah.
team that knows their way around a team time trial. So they had a guy off the front, a guy off the back, and now the guy that was off the front is now off the back. So sub ideal.
It looks like all back together for 5 of them. They're actually waiting, interesting enough, even though they're just about to come into the final. UK, interesting. So, there's only, I think, 7K or so left. So interesting that they would wait up that much. There's definitely some seconds lost. There's an interesting point though made by Kate this morning. Anna was talking about being really, really competitive, and just having to let riders go. And Kate was like, there's also a reality of keeping a team together long term. That if a rider just keeps on getting dropped over and over and over again from the team, they might just go find, why am I even here? And so there is a reality of are you going to lose riders from a team completely, or maybe if a team has multiple categories of teams or develops a new category of a team, perhaps because of that. But there is also kind of the like, do I want to stick around if I just play a 5-minute role every time?
Well, now you can start talking about team time trial philosophies, right? And there's absolute, and depending on the level you're at, the objectives that you have, I very much appreciate where Anna Russell is coming from with those comments. I appreciate both sides, to tell you the truth. I think the most important thing is for everyone on the team to be clear about what our objectives are, what our expectations are, what we're here for. And I think not to soft pedal that one, Nathan, but I think in all honesty, there are some teams where absolutely this is about us finishing together, working as a unit. It's not about just getting the fastest time. It's about all of us doing this together. Where for the very, very elite teams, it's much more hardcore and clear cut. And even to the point where we'll use riders as much as we can, and then we'll throw them in the dustbin when we don't need them anymore, just in the name of getting the fastest time. I can definitely understand that. This is not a sport for the weak of heart, that's for sure. And how many times have we talked about that rider that's on that third or fourth rider on the team as far as ability goes? That's such a tough place to be. But it's also, if you do it, takes a tremendous amount of courage. And if you can make it to the finish as that fourth rider, you're certainly going to become stronger mentally and physically. And that's the name of the game out here for so many. As we're in with the Belgians here, BZR Eagles 3. They're carrying some nice speed, looking like a strong formation right now here, Nathan.
Yeah, the BZR team's always very, very strong. Gastel here now is receiving 40 kilometers per hour toward the front, 6.7 watts per kilogram. As you can see, 175 beats per minute, so definitely shuffling. 175 here, also 76 now from Fierens. We're seeing Van Imp there, 182, 500 watts. Looks like a turn going to be coming through in a second. Or maybe just trying to get on terms with the riders here. Looking at the time different here, 28:59. DBR Warriors then 28:30. So they've made up some time, it looks like, here on this chase. So the DBR Warriors, solid ride here coming from them. The Danish team, a little ways behind now. Are these going to be drop riders, or is this a WEZ team? But the WEZ team, it looks like, have lost time actually to DBR Warriors as well as the BZR Eagles. So not having the best time here for the World Elite Zwifters as they round out the rest of this category. Harris here from the TFC team now as well. And then Tugaz. Now, Tugaz were the top team coming in. See what kind of time they can pull off. 26:13 currently as they head toward that same section. The, what were we calling the squiggly lines there?
The intestines, I think
The
I heard.
intestines? Were we calling the? I was going to stay away from intestines for some reason. I was like, are we calling this the intestines? Okay, we're calling the intestines here. Innocentes there looks like him at the back now. This is a solid 50K at the front. Solid effort here coming from this team.
Yeah, this all Portuguese squad: Jorge Carvalho, Luis Magalas, Nelson Pinto, Pedro Borlido, and Rui Miguel Abrantes. Let's see what we've got. A little bit of trouble right now. They're only less than 4K from the finish here. This is where you really want to batten down the hatches. Keep it tight, boys. Let's dial this back a little bit, get it regrouped now. Again, you start with 6, time off of the 4th rider. It
Yeah, it's
varies.
really separating out here a little bit here. I think Jorge a little bit off the front. Solid effort here, though. Let's see if they can bring it back in the two that are going. I don't have them actually on the riders nearby screen. We'll see if we can get them in here in just a second. But it is going to be Carvalho and Innocentes that were dropped off a little bit. Now they're all back together. 53 kilometers per hour, 52. A lot higher speed than I think we saw from some of the other teams coming through this section. If they can keep it over 40 kilometers per hour, they're definitely going a lot faster. They dropped to 40. It's about equal. Now 41, 42. So pulling through well here from two guys. Two guys I think are going to have a very competitive time as we see 400 watts being pulled through this section.
Yeah, I'm going to expect when this all the dust has settled out here. This is the RGV course for those joining us, the Route Grand Vitesse, ideal team time trial course, a little bit under 25K with 133 meters of climbing. And they're just about there into the finale. Again, this is the intestines here, whipping through left and right. As Joao Innocentes, the two guys rider, is who we're with. Expect this to be a very good time.
Yeah, I'm being told that the live data perhaps is going to be a pretty big issue and maybe take a few days actually for live data from what we're being told perhaps. So on the day, we're going to do our absolute best on the coverage and get an idea of where things are standing. It looks like two guys has lost some time here to GFTBE. But I believe we will be able to get results though across the line and give everybody an idea. So it's gonna be more about the TV time than anything else, I think, for each one of the teams as best as we possibly can on the day. But from what I'm being told, there is a major Zwift power outage out there. So if nothing else, you heard it here first. As far as what is going on with the Zwift power break. No, seriously, I don't think there's any official, and that's not completely official, but it is as close as it would get right now as far as an exclusive breaking news right now and what's happening with Zwift Power for everybody's information.
Well, we can talk about the men and the women, the gladiators of Zwift out here today, Nathan. Get a good look at them, like Joao right now and his two guys team. This is the Portuguese squad. There's a few different outfits coming out of Portugal. Nice to see so much interest down there. Another nation that is really starting to refine its passion for cycling, I would say.
Let's see if we can jump across here real quick over to the B category. Definitely said I wanted to give as much coverage as we possibly could to some of the other categories. Jumping around a little bit. We were waiting for a while there for the live data to come through so I can get an idea of where people were out on course. So apologies to those in the B category that are already across the finish line. We'll do our absolute best, though, to get to the front. But we are jumping in with SOW here with Padsold. It's going to be Shrew and then Hector Minyok and Schmidt there, all out of Germany, hammering away now, currently 49 kilometers per hour in the B category. This will be one of the top squads as well as Team SZ trying to chase them down. It looks like with that 30-second gap or so, pretty close between these two teams. 5.3 in the front there, coming from Padsold, though. So they definitely can feel the heat here from Team SZ right now.
Without a doubt, keeping the team together where you can really carry some speed is this. You can pick up a couple seconds on this part of the course, Nathan, as we're in with Struve now and the SOW team. They've got 5 riders. That's nice. And looking like they've cracked the code out here today as well as they come up on 23K. So less than 2K to go for this squad. They're going to be in well under 35 minutes today as they pass a rider who's finished up their work for a team a little bit up the road.
Yeah, and looking at the standings currently, SOW Gruppetto was in third place at 18 points. SZ Sleipner was in second place. So they did start behind SOW Gruppetto. They have only made up a little bit of time on them. There's 1 point difference between these two. There is the BRT Hellhounds that are a little bit ahead of this, the Dirty Beast Hellhounds, that are a little bit ahead of these riders at fourth place, 17. So the Seeds, obviously, the fastest team starting last. My question is, where is the Kirchmer BBs out there today? Because I believe if they showed up on the day, they would have started last out there. Let's see if I can find some of those riders here, because it'll be interesting to see where they are at and how they have gone on the day, because they are the team to beat out there. Kirchmer, solid in this B's for the East 2 Division 1B.
The
SZ
Kirchner.
struggling here, Dave. You see that? Klingval off the back.
Yeah, it's all right picking up our B's here now with about a K to go. Apologize again, with no split times, no data. It's a little hard to tell the story.
Let's see if we can
Klingval,
find
the I'm actually having trouble on Zwift Power myself here. Apologize.
Well, there we go. We found the bees, and they're flying. They were the last ones to start, and they are
Wow.
actually ahead of SOW. So they made a catch. From what I'm seeing here, I believe this is going to be the Kirchmer bees here, and it's going to be
Wow.
Sanjot here, 6.4 watts per kilometer, 53 kilometers per hour. So solid result here coming in from these bees, as they have caught both of the riders that are ahead of them. We take a look here really quickly at the current standings. This was the situation coming on in. So Sleipner and SOW Gruppetto, they're battling it out for those second spots here, but it's really going to be these Bs as they sprint to the line that are going to be solidifying themselves at the top end of this B category.
I see we have Eric Schlang out riding with the Zwift Insider on the dirt team in our Bs here. He does such a great job.
This is what we're talking. This is the end of the TTT.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh my goodness. Amazing to see. Who's he riding for the dirt team out there today?
Dirt, yeah, the Bs.
He's riding
I apologize for lack of data here. Folks.
The Beast Hellhounds. I would assume that he's riding for.
Let's see. For Eric, it just says, yeah, it says Zwift Insider next to his name. Dirt, just dirt.
Just dirt. That's all he's got to be. Is just dirt.
You're right. There's the dirt team. There's the down and dirty. There's the beasts, hellhounds, dirty sprockets. There's thousands of dirt riders, dads, indoors riding trainers.
Jumping in real quickly with Hepner. They're coming across the line. Oh, I'm just going to come across the line here and load up all the other riders again. Trying to find a few more of the C category as they got on course. Again, since we do not have the live data, we're unable to really find where the riders are really on course either. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to get to the right spot on course when we don't have the right data as well. So we're really trying here, everybody. A little bit of a struggle bus out here today, but we'll do our absolute best. As we're going to see if we can find Forbes out on course, and looks like most of the C category, though, have already finished, as they're out on
short course today.
Very short course, very short course.
Yeah, 25K that they really carry some nice speed over. You're not looking at much more than half an hour for most of our teams.
Real quickly, let's go ahead and see if we can jump on into the we'll jump into the pens actually here with the women as they're about to start, to give just a little bit of chat about how you may go about starting a TTT. What is the experience for some of these riders as they get ready to go? I mean, it's a very different situation than a usual Zwift race with 6:55 to go here. We'll maybe jump in with the D category if we can find some of them out on course again in the men's that we were just in with the East 2. If we can find some more of the teams, we'll see if we can get some results coming on through as well. But Dave, getting into the pens here, what's your experience with the difference between scratch racing and TTT, and what are these riders experiencing in the difference there?
Well, one thing, without any doubt, for new riders, if you're a novice to the team time trial, is learning how to stay calm and creating procedures. That's any time trialist will tell you that. You sort of look at the 2 hours before the start, what do I need to be doing 1 hour before the start? And then one of the most important things that I have seen through my years involved in the sport is establishing your routines, knowing where your gloves are. They're in your helmet because they're always in your helmet. Where's your helmet? It's in this pocket in your bag because it's always in that pocket. And you can find that type A part of a human brain. You really need to rely on that to eliminate the stress around. You don't want to be searching around for a valve extender 5 minutes before the start, right? That is wasted energy. You're burning calories. So a good director, and let's start there. Every team should have a director. And sure, some of the directors are going to be novice as well. We all grow together here. Every oak tree starts with an acorn. So be that acorn, be brave, say, hey, I'll direct you guys, and then watch some YouTube videos and you can learn about how it works and the processes and the different techniques that directors use. So that director then would have every rider knowing, you see the countdown clock. Okay, well, when that hits 0, you have your setback time. All right. So your director would know, Nathan, our team will start. Okay. Once it hits 0, we start 4 minutes later. So we'll see a couple. I believe the starts are on, well, yesterday we used 30-second intervals. I'm not sure. I think today might be 1-minute intervals between the team. But either way, you would know what that was. I apologize. But so you then, with your stagger, you know that your team starts 4 minutes after that orange wall disappears. And that at that point, then the team has an order. Some teams will use socks. There's a lot of different ways to establish that order, but using different color socks is one way that we've found teams using to identify who's who out there. And then that director, and I've talked with multiple riders, especially in this format where clear, understandable directions, using push to talk. You don't need to listen to the entire 6-rider squad breathing. There's an understanding of do what you need to do. Don't do more than that. Stay in your lane out there. You don't need 3 or 4 riders coaching other riders. The director really should be the only person that talks. And if you are speaking, you should have a damn good reason why you are. And that reason might be, I need to skip a pull. Be honest. Communicating amongst the team is massive. Last thing you want to do is don't be a hero out there, as they say. If you feel like this next pull is going to blow you up, well, 2 things happen. It probably will if you think that. And then you bog down the team, and then you create chaos, and chaos is the biggest enemy for a team time trial squad. You want it to be smooth like clockwork. Just a well-oiled machine. And I was talking about it yesterday, but when you're hitting the front, you're not accelerating, you're carrying the speed through that the team has established. It's like a relay, right, on the track, Nathan. When you're finishing up your sector, the rider or the runner in front of you, there's a transfer zone. That runner starts running before you. Don't stop, hand the baton to them, and then they start running. You're both running together. Think of it that way, that passing of the baton. You want to do it at speed, and that transition should be seamless. Think of yourselves as the Blue Angels or the Red Devils, as they say in the United Kingdom, an elite tactical force that is absolutely synced up to the max.
100% there, Dave. As far as the tactics go for team time trialing, you definitely have to be completely synced when you jump into the racing here. 2 minutes to go to show off how much they are going to be synced for these teams that we have up on the screen right now. For the women's EMEA East EMEA West, Division 2A. Dave, we got Rave A at the top from last week. Torvello Les Femmes there in second. Bath CC Royal in third. Sisu I Race Like a Girl in fourth. Pro Nautics here, Red Chili Bikes there in Heidi Shelton. That is quite the name. I like how many they put together there. Aeonian Benditas there in sixth. There Betty Squad A in seventh from last week. Team AST in 8th, R3R All Saints in 9th, and then LEQP, Femis Fortes there, in 10th place for the West Division 2A. Currently, let's go ahead and take a look here what's happening for the standings in the Bs.
People are Googling Heidi Kjelsen right now, trying to figure out what is going on there. Bristol Swifts with 20 points on top of the table here for EMEA, that's Europe, Middle East, and Africa Women's Division 2Bs. Kirkmeyer Magnolias in second, Aeonian Bravas in third, KRTB. That's Dressed to Kill edition in fourth. Herd of Cougar Carnage, oh my, in fifth. Dolphin Triathlon B or 5 in sixth. GC Mad Jalapenos in seventh. Cali Road Condors Women in eighth. PFC Furiosa in ninth, and SC EIR in 10th. There you have it for Division 2B's top 10.
BRT Candy Kittens currently at the top of the West 1 Division 2Cs at 20 points. HGRL Watt Cookies. Watson Cookies always seem to go well together there. Cryogen Angrilu. Is that a climb?
Angrilu. It's a climb in Spain.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then it's going to be SAS, PDQ, and then it's going to be CSY Race Like a Girl Morgan, and then it's going to be in real IRL, not in real life, but IRL Serrano Hams 1 in 6th place, and then it's going to be Ninja CC Ladies C in 7th, RCC Women C there in 8th, Bella V2 in 9th, and Herd of Dolphins. A lot of familiar names there, Dave, coming on over from the WTRL TTT on Thursdays. Always great to see the crossover there between the categories and our European time zone for the broadcasts.
Yeah, I'm going to guess, Nathan, it's 80-90% of teams participate in both our favorite day Thursdays. Aeonian Divas with 20 points on top of the table here for the Ds. The Belgian Zwift riders, Tigers 1 in second, Rave D sitting at third. Satonia CCWD is in fourth right now. You can see the point structure there pretty straight ahead is the Australian Hump Day ride. Lady Dynamos in fifth. It's Ninja CC Ladies D. I thought I was going to slip through, Nathan, with no challenging one, but there you go. In sixth, PWCC-LD in seventh. It's always a crapshoot, isn't it, with the leaderboards? Herd of Dolphins 3 and 8th. Cryogen Matterhorn in 9th. And then the Zwift Hungary Racing League in 10th. But both of those teams are zeroed out on points right now.
And let's go ahead and jump back into me and Dave hanging out for just a moment as the women that we just talked about are jumping out on course right now. I am being told, though, that we do have results from what we just looked at for a little while for riders going across all of the B and C, though. Only for B and C. We do not have any of the A's. Interesting enough, but we do have the B and C results here from the EMEA East 2-1B. So let's go and take a quick look at that, and then we'll jump out with the ladies as they are just about to get on course. Just waiting for their first teams to go for their runs now. So real quick look here. Men's results. This is going to be for the B's. The A's we're going to have to wait for, but it's going to be Vikings Gleitner there at 4.0 watts per kilogram, right on the limit there, 33.09. Kirschmer B's coming on through at a 1.4 back there. Seconds, that is going to be. Dirty Beast Amarok there coming on through 50 seconds back in third. Bath CC Camden there, 52 seconds back. Belgian Zwift Riders Lions 2, 55 back. Dirty Beast Hellhounds there, 1 minute back in sixth. SC Sleipner. There's going to be a real change up here. These results are almost upside down, actually, for what we saw in the standings. So obviously some people come into the TTT with some very, because SC and SLW there, as well as even Kirschmer B's there taking second. Vegan there, Bobcats in ninth there, TFC Defenders in 10th, but turning the tables definitely with Vikings Gleipner, Dirty Beast Amarok, and Bass CC showing up, showing that the TTT is a different race than a points race, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And again, as we talk about the WTRL on Thursdays, the teams that have participated have a huge advantage on the squads that don't have that team time trial experience. However, If they equally weighted the team time trial with the scratch race in season 1, now the scratch race becomes slightly more important out here. But let's take a look at the Cryogen the Dolman team is our top squad right now with let's see, a 36-39. Great job, guys. As the Kerkmeyer again in second. The Kerkmeyer hunting bees 15 seconds back. Look how close second and third were. As two guys see the Jerez unit, they're a half second back there in third. That's your podium. Fourth place has Viking Skull in fourth. It's the ZESP Ratons in fifth. 32 Club C in sixth. Adam Racing Team Mesotrons in seventh. RMA CC 45 CDO in eighth.
The Ghosts are in ninth.
Ghost, unnamed Team 9. Unnamed from places unknown. It's ninth place there. And then WTRL. Damn, we'll have to find out what the story is from our man Martin there. I'm sure that there's always an interesting backstory to a situation like that one, Nathan.
Always is. Let's go ahead and jump on in with the ladies as they get out on course here. Hopefully we'll have some live data coming through. As we do have results coming through, we'll have to wait and see if perhaps that is going to change up things. We're a little bit at the mercy of that at this point, but at least we can get the TV time for the riders out here and highlight what they are up to. It is going to be the LEQP at the first seed to go out, being chased down by Race 3R with Elise Debs, female, and then it's going to be Mackay here at the back of this pack. Aeonian there, the next ones to jump out on course, it looks like they're a good ways back. It'll be interesting to see how it's going to play out with the Aeonian team. Already a 1:30 gap or so, interesting enough. Now, is this right, though? Hey, off the back? No, the time gap's a little bit iffy there, it looks like, but does look like Spiller here already, though, struggling. The South African LAQP had to let a rider go immediately as Race 3 are charging to catch that first one out on course. It is LEQP. Dave, I think we got you on mute there, Dave, real quick. And looking through, it looks like looking at Deb's 3R here toward the front. Elise Stalins all hammering away. Just as a heads up, Dave, I did hear a little connection, I think, or something go a little bit earlier. KST here now from Denmark. Maha Lindrup there, as well as Lingsholm Horstman. All hammering away. It is going to be Aeonian actually a little ways behind them. So it was a team in between those two teams actually with a 1 minute gap, but it doesn't look like anyone is making up some time already in this A category. Now, Betty squad out on course, chasing down Aeonian. I wonder, interesting enough to see, it looks like there's only a 5-second gap very early on. So that's going to be interesting. Perhaps a little bit of a mix up on when to go on the time gaps there. I got you there, Dave. You're good to go now.
I refreshed. That was very strange. All right. Sorry about that, folks. So a lot of technical stuff going on.
It's just one of those days.
It really is. I'm glad we figured that out. So, all right. Yeah, I was just speaking to myself here. The RGV course, Route Grand Vitesse, is where we're out racing. Nathan and I had a couple friends asking, what does Nathan mean by peak Zwift? And I think that those numbers are mind-blowing. But they were like, is he talking about how many people are Zwifting at any one time? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And that number, as you were saying, we might be hitting that right as we speak or something very close to that, which it's pretty fascinating. But to think that, pretty close to 50,000 people around the globe are Zwifting at this moment. It's probably not quite 50, but it's more than 40 right now.
Yeah, it's I think somebody said that we do have a new peak Zwift actually being hit right now. So if there is something that's really cool coming out of some of the struggles for today is that we do have such a huge community of people who are interacting with the platform, able to race, able to be a part of all of the events that are going on. Obviously, Tour de Zwift as well with monstrous events, 16,000 plus people in some of these events. So pretty amazing how the community likes to get together and race and ride virtually. Uh, Very, very awesome to see. Now, this Bath CC team now has a women's team out here as well with Parsons, it looks like, Gogo, as well as Doyle. Had a solid ride on the men's side, so good to see that on the women's side. Also, very well seated. 403 watts here coming from Parsons. Pretty solid effort here right out the gate. I mean, that's no joke when it comes to 5 watts per kilogram coming from the ladies here.
Yeah, no joke is right. And the team is hanging in there as well. You can see a fight being put up now. That's what it's all about right there. The final rider in line is going to get back into the slipstream here. What I like, Nathan, we were talking about overcorrecting. You see how there's no overcorrection here? She's riding herself right back in and just a little overlap there. But okay, that's always a little bit of a scary moment there when you're on the ropes. But that's a very good sign for this team as they are. I mean, look at this. It's flat, and they're hitting 46 kilometers per hour, maybe a little bit slower than that right now. But this is a heck of a ride. This might be the gold medal ride that we're looking at right now for Bath CC. I think we're going to hear a lot more about this team. This is Barbie Doyle, Emily Griffiths, Emma Evans, Kimmy Gogo, and Victoria Randall. I like the cut of that team's jib, that's for sure, as we jump in with Whitehurst and the Rave team now. Another team that's got a bright potential here, as this is going to be Wiki, Iona Arsanova, Kate Whiteman, and Miriam Whitehurst, who we're looking at right now.
Yeah, current top team in this division. Whitehurst now to the front. It looks like perhaps no. There's one team to the front here. We are trying to get the best we can here with the riders out on course, but Whitehurst now Rave. This team, newer team, but have definitely shown that they're what they're worth here with being the top team here in this after the first week in this A division. Be on the watch out for them to be going up against that Bath CC Royal. Now, Trevella Les Femmes were a team as well that was currently in second place. I wonder if they showed up on the day. If they're in between the Bath CC and this team, that'll be the question out on here because this is the current situation. So Rave A hammering away. We'll see if we can get some more information on these ladies as they're having a solid ride already pushing. It looks like right on the 3.5 though. I think Bath CC have shown up to take this down out here today. And one thing I do want to speak to is the experience amongst these teams. I think that the way that the WTRL TTT has developed over time with the tactics, we're starting to see teams that maybe in the past you didn't maybe think that they were going to have as much organization, this knowing exactly how to do the best tactics in the TTT, and now we're starting to see really the norm being this meta where you have one rider straight, line, everybody's in their position, a go fade completely to the back, sit on the back, work your way forward. And I really think that it's just kind of becoming well known. And a lot of the broadcasts, I think, as well as watching what the top teams are doing, has really had an influence on, especially at the top end of these A's, to figure out exactly how do we get the fastest time out of this, staying really disciplined and taking it really seriously.
Yeah, it's funny how what's old is new at times, right, Nathan? Because this is exactly what the Italians were doing in the 40s and 50s, the Soviets, the East Germans, as that era took place. The tactics, it's not tactic actually as much as technique, never varied. Some of the things that you're racing against don't change either. Like as you take a look at this squad, really showing you exactly how you do this. Now, what the place where you change things on your team is how long riders are taking pulls for, not how fast they're going when they pull. And I think that's the one thing that you need. Once you understand that, everything else starts to make a lot more sense. The stronger riders pull longer. You sort of set the speed, the fastest speed that the team as a unit can travel at. And to maintain that speed, some riders do more work on the front than others.
Yeah, and speaking of riders doing more work at the front, I mean, this Rave team I think is being carried by one of their athletes pretty well at this point. Now we do see a roll through, but sometimes that's what happens also when you start dropping riders off very early, and I think that has been happening a little bit here as we did lose one or two riders pretty early here with the Rave team. So it went out hot, but I think they're in pursuit of Bass CC. But Bass CC, I think, are putting them to the test here, showing up with plenty of riders to make it all the way to the line.
Wow.
It looks like they still got 6 intact, and they're pushing still 5 watts per kilogram on the front. So I think Bass CC definitely going to be ones to be reckoned with today.
If they carry this over the aqueduct, which really is the feature, that sector is where you might see a rider getting dropped who's on the ropes. But the way this team looks right now, they should be setting a standard out here. This is poetry in motion from the Bath CC women. Again, Barbie Doyle, Emily Griffiths, Emma Evans, Kimmy Gogo, Victoria Randall, and let me try to figure out the rider that I'm missing here, because we're going to hear a lot more about this team, and I don't know that it gets better than that gold arrow helmet right there. That is all pro.
Does look like we may actually be getting some live, at least over on Zwift Power. We'll see if we can get it through on the live data as well. But we definitely have some live data starting to trickle through over on Zwift Power. Really good to see. So I'm excited about that. It is going to be on the Rave team there. Wiki, Kate Whiteman, we saw earlier, Whitehurst, and then as Iona Nova. But then this team with the Bass CC that we've been talking about, this is the team to watch out for today. Barbara Doyle. It's going to be Evans, Gogo, Kimmy Gogo, and then Lucy Parsons. So Bass CC, I'm going to see if we can figure out a little bit of information here on Bass CC, as I'm not extremely familiar with the team, but newer team to at least the broadcast here. And they, though, have both on the men's side and the women's side some solid representation. So great to see that. No,
My limited knowledge of the UK has me guessing that this would be a Yorkshire-based team. Bath, the Cold Bath Brewery, was where the draft house that you see when you're racing on the Yorkshire course. That is Cold Bath right there, and I have a feeling that Bath is a location there. It is definitely a location in the United Kingdom, and I think it's in Yorkshire. There's such a strong riding community there. Tour de Yorkshire, and you see pockets around the globe where people just love their cycling, and usually there will be some great bike shops, some great coffee shops, usually a brewery or two involved in creating that culture that so many people enjoy so much.
Let's see if we can jump in with the B category and
The internet, Nathan, will be letting me know very quickly whether I'm
I
right
think
on that or
Martin
not.
was already in the ears a little bit, saying
As he jumped in.
most definitely Southwest England Wales border is what I'm being told. And yeah, Bath most definitely is a location. I was looking to see if we can get a little more information about what they are up to and what they're all about there, but no about us really written up over on Zwift Power. But I appreciate the new team that's being shown up here.
They got cool kit and they're speedsters. That's all I need to know. I'm in. I'm a fan.
Jumping in with Bella Velo now, and this is going to be in the B category, one of the top teams. Now that we do have some of the live data, we can jump around a little bit easier, as it does show us where the riders are at out on course a little bit easier, and jump in with the correct ones to get an idea of where things stand. Also, be seeing if we can get some of that live data to be coming through to start giving you guys some of the time checks here. It's going to be Drake here from B Velocity. It's going to be Morgan, Gutteridge, Whale, Ridgeway, all hammering away. This is one of the first teams to go out there. Being caught here, it looks like, by the women's team SZ, that's being led out by Ed Vardsson right now out of Sweden.
Ruth Gooderidge, Gaynor Morgan, Charlotte as well. It's going to be another team. It's going to be fun to watch as we're in with our Bs now, but they have been working at their craft, Nathan. You don't put a team time trial together as we're witnessing right now without practicing a bit. This isn't your first time out of the gate. Good job, ladies.
No, it looks like Alexa here, level 39 Zwifter. Alexa Whale now sitting second. Whale needs to close things down to Morgan. Currently
see how they do this, Nathan. Talking about the overcorrecting. So this is where just need to barely ease up, because they'll be so quickly on you here, and have a game plan for what you're going to do once you bring it all back together. And it looks like that's what One of the riders is trying to do, sometimes the easiest way to get control is just to go to the front, as it looks like that's what Ridgway is doing. Morgan is the rider just off the front. I'm always pulling for the teams here. This is a real learning moment for the squad, is how do you just regroup and get back to work?
Yeah,
Because right now,
Morgan, interesting enough, level 23 Zwift are newer, I think, to the world of Zwift. Looks like she at least uses Zwift mainly, it looks like, in the winters. Now, actually, really cool to see, it has been Zwifting a lot more um, since December, November here. So good to see this little bit of a pickup jumping into the Zwift Racing League season one. It looks like, and now taking it up again in season two. So great to see. And she was the rider that was off the front a little bit. So, um,
very strong. But unfortunately, they're going to be caught here, it looks like. A team right behind them, Swedish Swifters, infamous squad. Sweden, number one nation in the world. If you look at the Nations Cup, credit where credit is due. The Swedes definitely love their Zwifting, and this is a well-drilled unit.
looking here real quickly here, 8:57 at the
yes.
6K mark there for the A's, for the R3R All Saints, the Bath CC Royal that we were talking about there, that were battling it out with the Banditas and Rave A. They currently are at a 9:08 at the 6K mark there, and then it's gonna be 9:13 there for Raven Aeonian Banditas, 9:16 there for Pro Nautics, and then Team KST and the A's there at 9:24. LEQP Femi's Fortes, they're 9:26 at the 6K, and Betty Squad A, they're 9:53. Now in the B's though, currently, SZ that did is this going to be now? If there's two SZ teams, we may be a little bit mistaken, but this SZ team may be absolutely flying. I'm going to double check the results here on Zwift Power to see if there are two different SZ teams. Give us a good idea. And maybe the Valentes for the SZ, and there may be a second ST team a little further down in the race here that we may be able to find that's got that faster time. I'm only assuming that because a lot of times it is going to be the seeds that go about a little bit later, but perhaps this is going to be the top team that's got that split actually here. EIR hammering away. Bristol Zwift there 9:07. Very close race here. Actually, some crazy times right up against it there for almost an A category type ride.
Well, here we go. So this course brings out the best in our squads, and you'll see that the top teams will stack it just seconds apart here up in. So looking at our top three, not even 10 seconds dividing them now, as SZ with a 9:04, only 3 seconds back to Bristol, and then KRT at a 9:13, another 5 back to the herd of Cougar Carnage. We got ourselves a bike race going on here, folks. And that's very, very early in the race here. We have a couple more checks to look forward to. Very evenly spaced out checks as well.
Yeah, and looking through Pop Cycles, it looks like also starting to make some catches. So as we do look at the top, the first seeds, a lot of times we do see these catches starting to be made as the riders that usually on the lower end of the category do go out first. But, you know, with it being a points race last week, we have seen some turnarounds here and there. So sometimes things do change up a little bit, but it is going to be the Pop Cycles now hammering away, as you can see. And are they on the leaderboard here for the top 10? They have not made the top 10, actually. So Pop Tarts and Pop Cycles mixing it up a little bit here, actually, as one of the riders here read now here with the Pop Tarts in the name. Liking the kit and doing a good job here with the canyons, kind of matching up a little bit as well. A couple of mismatches, but maybe just some level situations there. Almost, are they all on the zip? I think one or two maybe missing a zip wheel.
Not bad, though. Nice uniformed look here for the Pop-Tarts. All right, you can see that they're going to be looking, just keep it right there at 40K per hour if they can. Again, these are the Bs that we're jumping in with now. Getting some times, that's still going to be the SZ time at 9:04 there at 6K. More times filling in, though I do see that the Dolphin Triathlon 5 team, the 9:32, just 1 second behind the Furiosa ladies. B Velocity and just a couple seconds quicker than them. So everybody within about 26 seconds of each other there.
Really close racing, actually. How close
Yeah.
this is. This is no joke when it comes to only 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds between these top 10 teams. So they are absolutely evenly matched in this B category for the EMEA West Division 2B. So very cool to see. And this is really still anybody's race in this top 10 right now. I think easily that 20 seconds on this course, Dave, big mistakes can be made through this course. So I really think that
Well,
there's
just as hard as it is to get a couple seconds, sometimes it's even harder to when you look at it in the final few K here, you don't have a lot to work with. A team that's got good momentum. It's really an interesting course, that's for sure. As I was saying, this is what a team time trial course is meant to be. When they get to be too challenging, and I understand the spirit of it, and there's a lot of different ways to look at it as well. But if you want to look at the essence of this discipline, the team time trial, you want a course like this, a little bit of elevation gain, but you want the precision, the technique, and the power to be how you win the race. You don't want to turn it into, well, today this team time trial team is the group of the 4 best climbing team time trials in the world. That's not really the spirit of what this discipline is all about. This is right in the wheelhouse of what you're looking for with the team time trial course. So even a course that was perfectly flat would not be a bad thing when you're talking about team time trialing. This is going to be Howard and the I Race Like a Girl team here. We're going to jump in and look at some of the times. Now, it looks like the divisions and all of the different categories that we have really figured it out. I think we got the right teams racing against the right teams out here when you look at how these leaderboards are sorting. As IRL, the Serrano Hams won with a 9:43. That's only 5 seconds faster than the RCC Women's C2 sitting in second, and then Satonia CCWC is in third, 6 seconds separating the top 3 teams. And you don't have to look that much further back to find the Herd of Dolphins C2 sitting in fourth with RCC Women's C, only 2 seconds behind them. This is exactly what you want to see. And here we go, getting in our first times now from check 2 at 12K and a 19:14, a very solid ride from Satonia CCWC today. Boy, they have hit out as we take a look now at Doe on the Aqueduct.
And it's going to be Watts up 2 that Doe is riding for. Lisa Bolton is also on this team. I believe this is going to be O'Connor. That's going to be Nate O'Connor. And then Sarah Kane and Scotty Shell, all a part of this team. Bolton here at 4.2 watts per kilogram, giving a little bit of a kick, separating things out, actually. So this maybe do more harm than good. Maybe trying to give a little bit of a push to the team, but that's only going to be dropping off. I mean, they got to bring all the riders here, and Doe really struggling. So Bolton maybe getting away with something, but it's not going to be helping with this kind of separation.
And Nathan, are you saying she's the 4th rider for the team?
I believe so. Yeah, that's the 4th rider.
Case, then if that's the case, this is the classic. You can pay me now, or you can pay me later, because that rider is going to be your time. So if you've dropped her and are holding her off, the longer you hold her off, the more work you're making her do. And again, she's your time. So I don't know what more you'd really need to say to someone on a team to make them realize I need to go back and get her.
Yeah, and Doe here now at 2.1 watts per kilogram, struggling to do so. And there's just going to be this slingshot effect here, a little bit of a roller coaster. It's going to be on the downhill. Shell not trying to come on back. I think they're going to back off and let her come back here, but that is a lot of time lost without just waiting.
It
up
is.
Because really,
what else are you going to do? What's
at
your
this
other
point,
option?
nothing. You have no other option.
Yeah.
But that kind of kick over the top was what really made that happen. You do see some separation here, but not nearly as bad. Not even close. We hear with the it's going to be, I believe, Racer.
So there's a pass being made right now by the Swedish. Excuse me, BVR is the team. Bit of a dog's breakfast going on out there right now.
Picking up lingo there from the lands down under with Kate Bates, the dog's breakfast. That she uses that one often. She was saying she needs to rub off on us all. Racer de Pan. Racer de Pan. Now, they actually have that as a name for a team name, actually, as well as one of the riders' names in game here, interesting enough. And we'll see what kind of a time that they're being able to pull off here.
Racer of
overall.
bread.
Is that what that is? Oh, yeah. Good
Yeah.
call. Good call there, Dave.
So, all right. Well, they got a long ways to go at this point, about 10K from here. Trying to see, is this all one team that we're looking at, or do we have a mix here, which would not make sense, clearly?
Yeah, definitely
Must all
one
be
team
one
there
squad.
with all of the
Yeah.
Swedish flags there, hammering away. Jeremir
It's
now.
the C's that we're in with now.
Look around and see.
So
if
this
we
would be
can find...
Camelia Lejean, Eva Hirmir, Ina Nordstrom, Malin Emilsson, and Per Olof Lindberg, along with Sophie Reisa Dapa. That's the squad we have on screen. All right.
Gonna jump on in with the Satonia CCWC now, and they're in the Bumblebee light kits now in the C category. Doing a solid job. 190 beats here currently coming from D. Thomas now as Dawson, and then it's going to be Hovick. And trying to make a chase. 20 seconds is the difference as we do start to hopefully get a few more of these splits coming through. But this is going to be the top team at the 12-kilometer mark at 19:14 in this B category. Most likely going to be overtaken, though, by some of the other teams out there. The 9:49 was the last time. Maybe, yeah, as you're saying there. That's pretty solid still, though, Dave.
Yeah, they're in the mix for the win, no doubt. Give or take a few seconds, they are right there as one of our top teams out on course right now as they're coming up on 16K into this just under 25K course, the Route Grand Vitesse, the high-speed road here. They look fantastic, though, right now, as it looks like everybody's got some energy. They're touching on 40 kilometers per hour at times here on this flat sector as they start to make their way into some of the more technical bits here, but I'm going to put them in with a shot. Good work out there, Satonia. So by far the fastest time up till now at that mid-race check, right at 12K. We'll see what the Serrano Hams and the Candy Kittens have got to deliver here, the RCC women and the SAS PDQ squad. This one's going to come right down to it, Nathan. It's going to be very interesting here. The team that wins might not do it by much more than a second here.
Yeah, and that's how you can see that WTRL has done such an amazing job is how close these categories are all are. Interesting to see Denali Drafters now losing a wheel, it looks like. I think some of her teammates going up the road there, perhaps. We'll see if we can get them on screen here. We're having a little bit of difficulty as well with the riders nearby. I think there's just so many riders out on course. Even the riders nearby lists are starting to struggle just a tad here. So we'll see if we can get a few more of these teams out on screen. But we'll jump around a little bit between the categories here in just a moment to see what's going on with the Ds if we do start to get some of the times. And there they are. And this is the D situation there with the Belgian Zwift riders at the top there, Dave, 1050. A little bit more spread out here, though, in this category.
Yeah, actually, interesting when you say that, Nathan. As you can see, it's pretty even gaps here. So you look at, 26 seconds back to the Aeonian Divas there in second, but then only 5 seconds from them back to the AHDRL Dynamos. That's your top three right now. Again, this is our women's D category. Rave D sitting at third with an 11:31. This is where it gets really tight. Is Herda Dolphins 3 sitting just 1 second behind them in fifth, PWCC at 11:39. So they're only 7 seconds outside of the top five right now. A 12:25 for Satonia. So that puts them in at 7th now. We have a few Setonia squads. You're going to see that, Nathan. There's families of teams out there, aren't there? I'm thinking of, well, you could start with Cryogen or the herd of your favorite animal, insert here.
PWCC, yeah, and you do see
I guess herd
plenty
of badgers.
of
Is there a
different
herd
ones.
of
Because we
badgers,
saw,
Nathan? Isn't that
I don't
your
know if
state
I've
is the
seen any
badger state?
badgers. I'm not sure I've seen
Yeah.
any badgers out there. We're gonna have to do something about that. Go Bucky. Where's Team Bucky out on course here? But
You know it's
Petty
coming.
here
Eventually,
now.
every name will be taken the way we're going with Zwift until every person on the planet is Zwifting.
We have a little bit of struggle on the aqueduct though here, Dave. Continually, it seems like, as we do see again, PWCC LD now 11:39. They're battling with the herd of dolphins. Just enough that we went to water with the herds before we got any badgers. I guess badgers are kind of solo though. You don't really see
That
many
was
herds.
a
You don't see any herds of badgers really. There's just like solo badgers.
they're solitary. They're like wolverines. They like to live alone. I think
Yeah.
they're known for a bad temper, aren't they? They're not exactly friendly. They're
So
not like a flying squirrel.
rhinos.
What have we got here?
This is a mess, a big mess. What it looks like we have here.
Even the
team
people
is
in the
trying to
crowd were
come-
like, "What is going on?"
The bikes and beers, though, they took a little. It looks like detour with the bikes and beers kit here with Taylor trying to get back on terms. It looks like Petty here at 2.1 watts per kilometer in the D category currently, with the current placing in 6th for this team at the 6 kilometer mark. Go ahead and take a quick look at how things are playing out in the A category as we're going to keep jumping around and seeing. But that's the current situation in the Ds. In the A's, R3R All Saints still holding it down by 14 seconds over Pro Noctis.
All right, so here we go. Some time's coming in. 14 seconds. That's all that separates the Saints there, Nathan, from Pro Noctis. Oh, this is Heidi Sheldson. Red Chili Bikes. We take a look then. Only 4 more seconds back to the Bath CC Royal team. This is our women's A's. So we're back in the big leagues here. 16K in, 25. So they've got 9K to go. As we're actually, here's a team with only a couple K to go as we're in with the R3R. This is the women's team with the rider with the last name Male. That will throw you off.
Yeah, and take a quick look here at the over at the results. It's going to be Bethan Mail here from the R3R Luna Chicks, actually, from what I'm seeing in Zwift Power right now. 23.1 kilometers in, currently 267 watts at 176 beats per minute. Longer time Zwifter, enough Zwifting to have 2 pages of results. Was starting all the way back at Tour de Zwift back in 2019, actually, in January. Currently a level 39 Zwifter, I think I saw from Bethan. Racing for this R3R team and having a solid result in the first round. Took a 27th place, actually, in the first round of the season 2, week number 1. So grab some points for her team as the top 30. Definitely we're grabbing points. So good to see that she was able to be a part of this R3R. And they have the fastest time currently. So they've shown up to race in this A division, that's for sure.
This is such a high level. When you look at the Europe, Middle East, and Africa, I don't know that you find a division that's more competitive, just even sheer volume here. 6 riders together is a feat in and of itself right now. As this is where those 6 riders, you can really start to, the advantage now is you can really start to pour it on. Just keep coming over the top at this point. If you've got anything left to give it now, as you're going to be emptying out the tank here in the final K, and that's the name of the game. In an individual time trial, it's challenging enough as you want to make sure you're just hitting empty on the gauge as you come across the finish line. But getting all 5 riders, or in this case 6 riders together to sync up and do that, well, that is what the name of the game is here in the team time trial. So challenging to pull that off when you look at how complex athlete physiology, mindset, ability, motivation. When you get it right, it is so, so sweet.
Looking at the LEQP, you know, see what's they're currently sitting with the 1850 to 1812, so about almost a full minute back actually from the R3R Saints. So holding down though, battling it out there with Team KST. We'll see if we find KST out on course as well. You know, Bandita's there with the battle against the Rave A. Rave A, we're the top team coming in. Looks like they're gonna get unseated though by R3R. I think Bath CC have the most to gain though. Bath CC Royal. Will they be able to bring back the time gap, though, that we saw there between them 1738 currently at the 12-kilometer mark? We will be getting one at 18 Ks. With Power is on the slow-mo, though, today. But as it does try and catch on up, we'll get it, hopefully, an 18-kilometer mark, and we'll be able to see if there are any change-ups there with Bath CC Royal. Maybe being able to grab into the top spot or be overtaken by Rave, who's trying to bring things back. As we do suddenly jump, interesting enough, over to the Vikings, who are sprinting all day long across the line there.
It reminds me of what the finish line looks like at a Grand Fondo, to tell you the truth. Just folks all over wondering, where's the paella guy? Time to eat. As the R3R All Saints have set the standard out here up to this point. No reason to think that they won't continue here as we're in with Blom of the LEQP team. A 14-second advantage is enough that you could feel pretty confident that you're on the right track here. Now, you can certainly see that all vanish very quickly, but on this course, the way things are going, by the time you get through 15K, you really have a feeling whether you're on a winning ride or not. And winning times for this group should be around 34 minutes here. So we take a look. The LEQP TBR squad. The rider known as M.
We're going to jump in with the men as they're getting out on course for the West now. Definitely see what we can do to grab some more of the results from the women's side of things. Again, apologies on some of the coverage out here today. It's been a little bit of a struggle with Power being down, finding all the riders that we've been wanting to find, but we'll do our absolute best to continue on. Show must go on kind of a situation. But LEQP here on the men's side as well. Same kit. Good to see. I always like to see the parity across for the men and the women. Very well represented. It does look like we've got Klein here from CHQ riding out of Germany. Interesting to see. Oh, Klein, Havel, Rump, Null, and then Butner. It looks like across, trying to get across here to LAQP and be competitive in this West category.
I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but at first glance, this team looks very well put together, I must say. As they head out, again, RGV, as we make our way around through the different zones of racing, it's worth noting how complex it is when you have, nearly 10,000 racers participating in a community league. This is certainly, as you're in Europe, you're going to see we're moving now into the Europe West. So the women have just one EMEA that we collect them all in that group. For the men, there's an East, and that has already wrapped up here. This is the West that we're looking at. But the women, there are some women still out on course. So I'm going to imagine that Nathan will be jumping back and forth between those two races here. And we'll have any results that we can data mine. We will certainly, you'll be the second to know. As soon as we have them, Nathan will be the first.
And Gilly, we really appreciate to have you in chat there. Definitely appreciate it so much. The idea of Pan being bred is not lost on us at all, and definitely knew about Bath as we really were paying a little bit more attention to Zwift Power and the need for the data on the race and not so much the landscape. So looking through the About Us over on Zwift Power as well, we're looking for a little bit more information on who those riders were rather than where they were from, as that About Us was not filled in over on Zwift Power, as if you wanted to know what was going on in the heads of the commentators there, Gilly. But we appreciate your feedback. We hope you come on back to the broadcast. We'll see if we can get you out there to see some of your watts as well. We'd love to talk about you and where you're from and share some of your riding experience with the commentators, Gilly. So thanks a lot for your comments, though. So moving on through, it looks like it's going to be TCK now out of Germany, though still hammering away, as we can see exactly where he's from there with that flag. Out of the US of A, it's going to be Higginbottom here from Team Type 1. TT1 there standing for the diabetes that they are either fighting in family. You can see with the D next to the name there for Rising and Odell, as well as Foigner. They're all of those with the D next to their name are going to be those with diabetes, and the others most likely family members if they do have an F next to their name instead.
A big year for that team as insulin was discovered 100 years ago. They have done a really good job with this team of trying to highlight how diabetes doesn't mean that things are over. Actually, this is your moment to shine, because if you can get out there and exercise, you can make a huge difference. And there are guys that race, basically in the world tour level who are type 1 diabetics. That entire Novo Nordisk team, that's one of the requirements to be on the team. And they get it done. And a lot of that, I mean, you say exercise, but exercise and diet, Nathan, it all goes back to those really simple fundamentals that somehow we've gotten away from. But just like they say, you can't fool Mother Nature. Well, you can't really cheat on that one either. No matter how much money you have, you still have to take care of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that is true. Definitely true. And great to see this team taking care of each other out here as well. And that's one thing that Team Type 1 definitely does.
They're
It's
great.
great to see that they come together all around what they have in common in real life here out on Zwift. And definitely something that impacts their riding as well. So very cool to see that they're able to share that out on course. Sox Watts now with the new kit in game, it looks like. And we do have, it says, it looks like S. Lashley out of the UK. Thomas now to the front, it looks like, as well as Scott. Now, this was originally a women's squad, but the reality of the awesome, actually, situation that has happened here with bringing in the men's side as well to the racing for Sox Watts.
I'm thinking, Nathan, that speaks to this community equality. Zwift has been this. When you look at the platform of Zwift, it has been incredibly cool to see how it has lifted the women's racing side of things up to try to get them closer in respect and all of the different metrics to the men. And it's gone a long way. We still have work to do as well. And it's obviously more than just Zwift's job out there to do that. But I can't think of another sport that has an offshoot where Sox for Watts and what James has done with this program. There are so many women that identify as part of that collective group, that what they were doing was so cool that the men wanted part of that as well, right? I can't think of too many times where the men have said, and that situation has occurred. And it speaks to positivity and, what you can do when you get together with a group of people that are motivated to make some change and have some fun. That's exactly what Sox for Watts are all about.
Here. Look at it. Absolutely 6.4 watts per kilogram with Sox for Watts right now. Hammering. Great to see a little bit of kick here toward the front. 48 kilometers per hour. If you don't know, it's really all about that 48 to 51-ish. 50 really, if you want to be in a winning top end men's team in the Premier League, is what you're really looking at, right around that 50 kilometers per hour on average. Now at about 48 to 46, you're going to want to bump it up a little bit because it looks like the German team here with BHC, Kramer, as well as Dintner now coming on through. They're pushing a 48 solid, and you do a little bit of comparison here. Will they slow down to that 46 we saw in that 1% uphill gradient? That will be able to tell you. And it does slow on down, but they have made a good amount of ground up as we see 41 currently here. They really took a little bit of a hit there on the speed, as I think this German team is going to be really quickly jumping on the wheels here and coming by, trying to make that pass as quickly as possible. Rasenbach now from the BHC team now backing off to finish his pull. Is it going to be Kramer? Now that's a little bit weak on the pull through there, it looked like to me. 5.7, 400 watts though, perhaps maybe more of a pure watt ruler rather than the high watts per kilogram, which does produce a good amount of speed on the flats, Dave.
Boy, that's the name of the game, isn't it? It's just carrying that speed through. One rider or another is going to have to be setting the pace on the front. We've talked about how the stronger riders just need to spend a little more time or a lot more time up there and just breaking the wind, pushing through. When you've got 6, that's a really good sign. Through the first 5K is where if you have a rider who's going to be in trouble, usually it starts to it's like car trouble. Usually you find out pretty early in the drive. Well, similar with the team time trial here, you're going to realize that we might have a weak link here. This team doesn't look like it's got a weak link at all right now, as they are rolling. Again, if you're just joining us, it's nearly 25K of racing out on the RGV, the Route Grand Vitesse today. Time taken off of the 4th rider. You start, and hopefully you do start with a maximum of 6, but you have to start with at least 4 here in the ZRL, our community racing. This is season 2. Feel like we're well underway already. An exciting season as we're into our first team time trial here together, and we'll start getting some checks coming in from out on course as well.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of checks we can get. We are waiting on the live updates. Just wanted to put that on the screen to give everybody an idea of where exactly the riders did start in their order, and at least to give us the starting order. We don't see any green actually next to the names yet. When they do get out on course and it is tracked by Zwift Power, it gives us a little green next to the riders. We can see here, I'll give you an example here real quickly with the women's splits from earlier. You see the red next to there? That means that they have finished and they are across the line. If it is green, they are still out on course. So that is the situation for those teams. We'll start getting some results on in for the men's and the women's as well. So we're going to wait and see if we can get some of these splits to come on through, but we'll keep on getting the TV time here. It's going to be the big ring with their new kit. Always great to see the new kits in the game. Jay Smart leading things out of Australia. Corbin on his wheel. Welshman there. Stroud there out of the UK, and another Welshman there. It's going to be Abe Bather, followed by De Freitas there. Long-time viewer and Zwifter there out of France. Grief from the dirt team chasing down out of South Africa, though, 18 seconds back, as you can see with the baby bottle in the left-hand side of the pocket.
I wonder when did they add that feature, Nathan? Is that something recent, or has that been a signature dirt jersey?
It's all about
highlight?
the diapers. Change diapers, change the world.
You can only imagine.
Right? These boys are changing the world. They're not just pushing watts here, dude. It's baby bottles, baby monitors, and diaper changing is what's happening in these households. And dads inside riders training representing with the kit right now, as we do see Biggs on the front. But that has been a part of the kit as long as I can remember.
Nathan, I don't know if you've ever done it but at this point your kids are a little old, but I'm sure there has been a dad who has changed a diaper while Zwifting. It has to have happened. A mom too, for that matter.
Because you're like, I can't get dropped. They were talking about it earlier today with the kid dropout. You have a kid dropout, right? Like something happens in the house, you hear a crash. Anna was talking about this, that there's a kid dropout that happens, and that they actually, well, sorry, I gotta go. And like she was talking about how you wait to see how bad it might be because you don't want to have the child drop out, but if it's silent, it's really bad. So then you just sorry, gotta go.
I guess it depends on the kids too, but too much silence for too long from kids can also be alarming, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can head on over to a couple of my videos and see Milo in the background cheering me on. I got a little bit of dad inside rider trainer moments, that's for sure. But you can also see dad telling Kyle, my little bit older, who I know can handle it, be like, just get back off for just a moment, please. I'm trying to do something here. Like, my heart rate's like 180, 190. And I'm like, just not right now, Kyle. I'm suffering, kind of thing.
I love our other colleague, Kate Bates, was talking about her daughter. It's like a production assistant when she's broadcasting. We'll bring her water and is very aware that mom is on the air. And we have great colleagues with both Kate and Anna. We'll look forward to more with them later. Is right now coming up on 10 K here. Speaking of dirt, boy, I was pricing those disc wheels the other day, Nathan. I've got a few more drops to earn before I even get close.
I actually
You
bought
still
something live just the other day. I thought I was never going to buy anything, and I was jumping into that
would you
Tour de Oz over the weekend. Well, Casey Shum, CS Tricks over on Twitch, everybody. He's currently racing, actually, I think in the TTT for one of the A's, maybe just getting finished. But he was telling me that the Canyon is a pretty good selection up against for an all-arounder, and he doesn't use the Tron. He says that's one of his go-to picks for an all-arounder. I was like, I don't know, nah. And I ended up buying it and then ended up going with the Tron anyways, because I had never tried the Canyon before. So it's a good all-arounder, and he liked it because the frame was lightweight for climbing, but he also liked to have it there with the disc wheels with the 858. So I was going to go with that. The last minute, I made the swap back over to the Tron. But CryoGen
I,
Val Thornton's. Now, you want to tell me a little bit about this climb? Because it's always CryoGen with a climb.
I have to be honest. Now, sometimes, like Matterhorn was a climb. I'll do some research here, but I'm not familiar with Val Thorns, to tell you the truth. So you got me there. I did want to add, I see Christina Grossman chimed in, calling your Anna Russell flat a mom flat or a mum flat.
Oh, did we get dad
That's
flats?
absolutely it, right? That Anna Russell, the director of Christina Grossman's team, well, rider director, right? She's one of the very few cases where I would say that having your director as a rider makes sense. But with Anna, it certainly does. Getting some splits coming in right now. Skylab with a 757. I take it Gilly's not a fan as well here. So Restart Up Nation 806, Fusion Development at an 815. So looking at our first times coming in here from our, this is going to be the men's mixed Division 1A.
Now, Skylab, Restart, and Fusion are all very fast teams. So I'm having a feeling that they came through recently at that 6K mark, and we're just going to start updating across the board, hopefully. But Restart Up Nation, Fusion Development, and Skylab always really at the top spots of this leaderboard a lot of times. So let's go and take a look at the current. Actually, one thing that we did not do at the start of the race actually was take a look at the current standings in this division as well. So we'll see if we can take a look at that in the lower left-hand corner in just a moment and get an idea of kind of where things are at here. As we do get some of these coming in. 757, though, that's going to be a battle there between Restart Startup Nation. And there we go. As I did say, we were probably going to get an update without all of the data, but it does come through with Team Type 1 Asymptomatics, LAQP, their singles, and then Team Kelowna Kids there. 1632. I am fully expecting, though, those to be challenged there by Skylab, OVB, BRT Thunder, and Restart Up Nation in just a few moments.
Yeah, we should watch out for that Socks for Watts Watt Bombs team as well. The Savoie region of France is home to Val Thorens, a ski area located at 2,300 meters of altitude. So obviously that Val Thorens falls in the theme of great mountains climbs around the globe. What did we have earlier? Angrilou, the Spanish climb. Mount Evans is another one that we've seen climb here in the United States. There's quite a few of them, actually. The CryoGen variations. Taking a look at some times coming in. 15:31 for the fabulous Berlin Hot Cranks team. They're flying out here. 7 seconds quicker than Dirt Wolfpack 2. TBR to 52 Tooth. 15:49. Pretty close, though. Again, evenly spaced, but not large gaps here. 7, 8, 10 seconds between the teams as we're looking at more times coming in. The Colonia Kids, Team Colonia Kids with a 16:32, right behind LEQP Singles, who we were with a little earlier, 16:24. Socks for Watts Watt Bombs, 16:01, the time that they're posting there at 12K. So right at the midpoint out here on RGV, the Route Grand Vitesse. This is going to be Z-Sun, the Red Giants that we're looking at right now.
I'm surprised to see the Red Giants not on this. I mean, this is speaking to how incredibly competitive this is. Red Giants, definitely a team I'd be watching out for usually. Maybe just not through quite yet. We'll have to wait and see here. 5.3 watts per kilometer in the front, but Red Giants usually ones that are in the hunt. So currently situation right now, as you can see, this is the current standings in this A category. Skylab, they were at the top, as you saw in the TTT so far at the first checkpoint. We haven't seen what they have at the 12K yet. Restart Up Nation, they're 9. It's kind of right in order, actually, when it comes to the time checks we saw in that first 6K. Interesting enough, across the board from Richmond over to with the points race last week over to the TT this week, matching up a little bit more in this category, I think, Dave.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting here as they're riding on the aqueduct. We talked about that being a critical sector on the course. We're going to jump in now with SV. There we go. Thank you, Nathan.
Sorry, I'm all over the place.
That's okay.
Back and
It's
forth a little bit there.
I appreciate your efforts. There's no doubt. This is going to be Brandland of the SZ team. Couple of riders just off screen here. We should see them. There we go. Falling into the slipstream here as they start their ascent of the aqueduct. I say ascent, it's hardly a climb.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 5% gradient. Really short kick, actually. Probably about 30 seconds or so, and then it flattens right on out. Really, it's just about kicking over the top here, grabbing onto a wheel, and then having some continuance. So Eggerston now hanging on. I'm going to watch how they pull this off here as Nystrom holds on. Nobody going to overshoot the climb. Good to see. So Brandland, he's just going to be consistent, it looks like here. 162. 358 is the wattage right now. Now bumps it right on up as he knows everybody is back on terms, doing his job well, it looks like. Did you see how he tempered himself? And then kicked it up a little bit. Very well done. I wonder if it's going to be Edgerton that's going to pull through, or is Brandley going to go all the way through the climb and then onto the downhill as well? I would really expect Edgerton to pull through.
Nathan, think how hard that is to do. You could relate to a rider who's making 300 watts and saying, good, now make 290 watts, right? That's a very subtle adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really, when it comes to, the temperance, though, that's there with a rider like Brandland. He's very experienced. He knows, and as far as Zwift racing goes, he knows the platform in and out. And so I think he knew exactly what kind of speeds, as well as watching.
There's a real feel.
And also this is kind of what he's seen most likely, and knowing when that meter goes out 1 or 2 meters, looking at Sorman, okay, I know he's right on my wheel right now. I can push a little bit now. Brackfall, though, not so much. Need to back off a little bit if he was trying to get him on his wheel. Really, though, Brandland at this point, his job is just to get the back. The way he went to the back, now on a downhill, it can be a little bit more difficult as you do get the super tuck involved. And so a lot of times it just needs a little bit of a reset. Everybody just kind of hangs on. So one place where you can't fault people too much is on those downhill sections as to whether or not people start to crowd a little bit and get out of order. But immediately as you get into the flats again, right back into the order. Now, will people overshoot is going to be the question. Brandland actually overshooting a lot is going to take a pole. This is a mistake now from Brandland if he's not on the pole right now. Now 6.452. He has to just continue, or else this is not going to be a situation that they want to see, because they're going to drop below 50 and they want over 50 at this point.
Agreed, Nathan. Once you've made the commitment to that and you realize, I've overcorrected, well, don't recorrect. That's almost where it gets worse, right? When you then correct on that correction, at some point you just have to play through. And that's exactly what he did. So they're finding their rhythm again now. Swedish Zwifters, the team we're with through the middle part of the course.
Skylab here. Flying. OVB right on it here, though. 13 seconds is the difference there, Dave. Tied BRT and then Berlin Hot Cranks. We've got quite the race on here at the 12K mark.
You have 3 teams that are virtually deadlocked there, second, third, and fourth with the OVB, BRT, and the Berlin Hot Crank squad. And then only another 7 seconds back to the Dirt Wolf Pack 2, who are actually 3 more teams grouped up on 1538, Dirt, Z Sunderstatement, and ZC Hernud. Then a couple seconds back to Restart Nation. So, boy, and look at this, Nathan. All the way from Skylab to TBR, 52 tooth. Nice job, guys. They just got upgraded here. This is, let's see. It's not even half a minute. That's incredible. That is incredible to have everybody in such a small window there after 12K.
TBR
Yeah,
52, 1549 is the split all the way to Skylab at 1517. Goes to
that's
show,
amazing.
and this rings back to what PO Auto won by yesterday. 0.2 seconds, right? I mean, the difference was 0.2 of a second over the TTT. And the kind of
Over
dynamics that there
Airfire.
are between all of these riders, like that zero point
That's
0.2 seconds is the difference between,
that's two guys wearing an aero helmet. As
I
I
mean,
look at
yeah,
this team,
or just one little mistake in a poll.
one
I mean, it's
bobbled
like
pull.
one little thing. I mean, that's how
Yep.
close this is right now. And it's so cool to see. It's so amazing to see in these categories how close it is now between these teams with this. I mean, I think we're going to have a lot of similar situations because of what an amazing job we've seen with the reality of ranking
Yes.
riders based on how they finish in their results and getting an idea of where they're finishing to put them up against each other. Not so much of this guesstimate of like, well, I'm around an A or a B based on my FTP test, but rather judging it by the results in the past that
I
WTRL has
love it.
seen. They put these riders together, and now we're getting some real competitions to pull together now.
Yeah, we used to be estimating. Now we're proving. You know what I'm saying? It's it's all right there for you. This team has absolutely killed it out here so far. OVB putting on a clinic. These guys look great, Nathan. All right, so I'm looking now to see Skylab had, let's call it 13 seconds on OVB. This is Skylab. Now, this is going to be really, really good, folks. 5 together here, and they also look fantastic right now. We got a battle of the Titans going on out here.
Yeah, look at the kit that they're using in game here.
That
Gear
looks cool.
Patrol. I'm loving this white and black. Very clean.
Stands out. Easily recognizable.
Very much so. Skylab. Loving the name as well. Makes me feel like I'm a part of like some sort of, in
Space project, man.
space project. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're ready to take off space here
I'm not
right
gonna
now.
I'm not going to mention anything that I may or may not know about the space program to avoid criticism here.
Is this going to be Caleb Carl riding for Skylab? Is that a transfer? I'm gonna wait and
That's
see. I'm
interesting.
gonna hold off and see.
We'll
But
look,
if
right?
Carl has moved over to
It has
Skylab,
everyone
that's a
scrambling for
big.
their
That is
Swift
a
power.
really big pickup, actually. If Caleb Carl has gone over to Skylab,
And this is the time of year that we're just at the end of that cycle now of riders changing teams and trying to figure out who has gone where, who's been effectively recruiting.
it is Caleb Carl averaging
There you
5.6
go.
watts
Wow,
per
good,
kilogram,
good call.
399 watt average so far. This is absolute Caleb Carl. What a pickup
300 to
here
400 watts for more than 20 minutes is what he's done.
at
Basically.
5.6 watts per kilogram. A personal best out here today. These
That's
teams
pretty
have
close to
shown
world
up.
tour.
These teams
Yeah.
have shown up. They want to take down these leagues. And I have a feeling over Christmas, a lot of these teams, they were just putting in work, putting together the right draft, really trying to figure out how to TTT, getting some solid training in. They got a break because it's no longer week in and week out racing. And now I think we're starting to see the results of these teams transferring riders, picking up riders, drafting riders, trying to scalp some riders from other teams, and then getting the training in. And now you get these results with this such a competitive high-end league now at this top end.
Well, there you go, OVB, Nathan. I thought it was going to be close, and it sure is. 11 seconds now behind the hot cranks. We're still waiting here for one more time.
Made up some time here. They
did.
It was
those two teams
neck
were
to neck.
tied.
Yeah.
They were tied at the last split, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They were. So I believe it was going to be
1 second difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So great to see that this battle is really starting to heat up between OVB. This is OVB with Richard Sherritt now. Andy Sherritt, their key long time Zwifter and viewer there. Sherritt, good to see him hammering away. I think I used to race against him in the old days of Zwift. Actually, looks good to see him still around and hammering. Part of one of these top teams currently.
Does Skylab go inside of 23? Do we see a 22:59 when they pop here? Any second now, we're going to see them putting their second split time up. That's the 18-kilometer split, the final split we'll have before the finish here.
Yeah, we have to wait
I'm
and
going to
see
guess
how
it's
this ends up
close.
playing
It's
out.
going to be right
I
there at
think Skylab's
23.
going to do it. I think Skylab's going to do it. They're looking strong. Sherritt, though, getting a little bit of motivation here to get back on the Pritchard's wheels. You can see 5.6. Brinkley now up in the 7 watts per kilogram, 49 kilometers per hour as they come into these final few K now.
These little gaps are the Achilles heel for them. They're so close when you talk about OVB. But unfortunately, those little gaps cost you a half second here and a half second there, and you just don't have those to spend right now. Team Skylab, we're waiting for their split time.
I really don't. I'm going to think we're going to jump in, though, and see if we can get a little bit of information here on the B category, just because we did want to start focusing in on a few of the other categories. Hopefully, it doesn't completely rip everything apart like we saw in the last. Just as things start to settle down, Nathan's like, well, let's keep our promises and ruin all the other promises that we were trying to keep otherwise. But we'll see what we can pull off here as we jump on in with the dirt team. It is going to be Anton Wagon, and he's helping us out as they are one of the first ones to jump out on course. This is actually the first the bottom seed, or the first out on course there for the B category, the Dirty Beasts, hammering away in this West. And let's see how they're doing. Are they
There it
on
is.
the leaderboard?
You see that 22:46 from Skylab?
Oh, did it come on through? I'll go back and
It just did,
apologies
yeah.
on
So
that.
that's very, very quick.
Sub 23. Was there anybody that might be able to catch them?
No, that's
in the
it.
A category?
They're in really good shape.
So it looks like Skylab, they're going to solidify themselves at the top. They were the top seed coming on in, and they're going to keep that spot. But in the B category, as we look at the dirt team here, this is the dirt. So there's the Beast Behemoths and the Beast Roosters. And let's
Okay.
the Roosters, I think, were the first to jump out on course. We are looking at the Roosters right here, 25-16. The Behemoths, they were the Behemoths were pretty far up on the leaderboard. So interesting enough to see. Looks like Klaskin falling off, as at the front it's going to be Johannes now kicking up into 4.3 watts per kilogram, 41 kilometers per hour. If we take a look at the current standings, actually, that's going to help us out, I think, a little bit. Give us an idea of where things were at coming into this race and where this team stands. London Dynamo Boys and then Team CLS Pure Quality, TBR 48T, Emerald Flyers. These are all teams that you're going to see in the leaderboard. This gives you an idea of where they stood after round 1, coming into round 2 for this team time trial right now. So the Dirty Alligators are also out on course, it looks like, but not in the leaderboard right now. So they're outside the top 10. So it does look like the Roosters are going to be trying to take down the Alligators for the Dirty Beasts. These team names, I love the creativity that they have here.
I'd imagine in the alligator camp, they've got T-shirts printed up that say "Alligators eat roosters."
A little bit of in-house fighting is always a lot of fun.
In-house, yeah.
A little bit of funny.
Well, there's thousands. I mean, I would be really curious. Maybe someone in the Dirty Empire could let me know. But I mean, maybe they don't know. Maybe it's uncountable, one of those unknowable things. But what do you think, Nathan? There's got to be 1,000 riders who identify as dirt riders. Wouldn't you think?
At least that. I think we saw an announcement well over that actually at one point. But yeah, there's at least 1,000 here. Alligators, though, I spoke a little soon. They're battling with the Cheesecake Brigade here now at 24:56 and 24:55, and then a tie there with TBR 48T and Team CLS of Pure Quality. They're 24:37. Cryogen Tourmalet, though, walking away on the big mountain there, it looks like, at a 28 right now.
This category might take the cake as far as just names go in general, right? Creativity just across the whole spectrum out here. I love that we get to have fun with that. So good job. I mean, you got names all the way from the lineup, the London Dynamo Big Boys to the Dirty Beasts Alligators. Cheesecake comes into play, and some straight ahead names and old school names like the Big Ring, 48 Tooth, and of course Cryogen Tourmalet. 24:28 brings us to the top there with our fastest time, TBR 48T with the 24:37. They're not that far back, and they're deadlocked right now at that 18K check with Team CLS Pure Quality.
This Cryogen team was actually not one of the top seeds, I don't believe. I'm going to double check this real quickly, unless they're just going that fast. No, it was the Dynamo Boys. Cryogen were actually sixth coming in, but they are leading things out right now. So they obviously, and that's not too surprising with the team that they are, that they would perhaps have the experience on that team to know how to do a TTT well. Having a DS, having the experience. I mean, that kind of stuff really, really matters when it comes to doing a TTT well. And I think that might be what's happening here with Cryogen having such a fast time out there today.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're in now. Actually, let's go ahead to the finish area. These are the teams that have just finished up their team time trial here again with thousands and thousands of riders, and this I'm going to guess, Nathan, that this 2-hour window is where we see the most racer starts per second happening between EMEA East, then the women, then the West. That's got to be volume wise the most that we see, and with another one of the herd riders here.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Herd of what?
I believe
Nathan,
Martin Jewell. I believe it's gonna be Martin Jewell, perhaps Adam Bike Works. No, excuse me on that. That's saying MJ Mark John. Excuse me. Herd of Pacing Palominos is what we're looking at here. So Peggy Evans is in there, as well as Ola Natvig riding for this team. Chris Ty for the herd as well. Steve Douglas with the Palominos. So where they're standing, they're currently 10th overall with that 25.52 at the last check mark with the green and blue kit.
I'm going to guess they're pretty happy with this ride, as they're sitting on right around 31:30 right now, but they've only got a bit more than a K to go.
Yeah, we'll see if they can make up a little bit of time. It was 3 seconds between them and the Behemoth out there. So, and then only 7 seconds up to Omega. 9 seconds to the Dynamo Big Boys. So they definitely can make up that kind of time. We saw those kind of time changes easily on this course. A lot, being a shorter course like this, we did, and as well as like the kind of course, it being pretty flat with a couple of these bumps in here, though. I think people have sometimes been overcooking it a lot and find themselves fading a lot at the end.
I think that's exactly it. It's not, Nathan, that you see teams picking it up and putting the negative splits together at the end. It's that teams that were too aggressive with their pacing schedule pay a price at the end and fade. Exactly what you're saying, which speaks to a great team time trial, right? I just love that that's the format that we have, where, the teams go out aggressively. Sometimes you can hold that, sometimes you can't, but that's the name of the game here in the sport of time trialing or team time trialing.
Interesting to see the London Dynamo team. They're a little ways. They were one of the first, or the last ones to start, I believe, out on course. Were they actually the top seeded team then? I'm going to double check here and make sure that I got this right. But yeah, London Dynamo first. I mean, last to start, but I'm not sure that they are pulling the best time. Now, this is going to be the Ireland team. Faulkner's here, primed coaching. Edmondson, Daring as well. Flying out on course here for the Emerald Flyers is who this is. Emerald Flyers were fourth overall coming into the race out here today. Let's take a quick look at where they stand, though, on the time checks. Emerald Flyers, it looks like having a rough TTT for, well, sorry about that. Sixth place, actually, 24:59. Yeah, so, and they could make it up, maybe not. I don't know. Third might be out of reach at this point. third might be out of reach, but if they're flying at 50 kilometers per hour, if they start dropping some riders off, not getting held up,
I
perhaps
could
they're
see them
almost there.
finding they could find the top 4 here. Come on, boys. Let's go, lads. They're burying themselves now. Hard to root against the Irish, isn't it? I got to admit, I got a big place in my heart for that flag
22
right
seconds to second place. I mean, if the top boys fade, I mean,
now you're a dreamer.
that'd be quite the jump. That would be quite a jump. That would be quite a jump. I'll give it that.
Finish comes up pretty quickly from where they are now. Just one more bend, and they're going to see the gantry. Come on, lads. You got it here now. This is going to be a really good time for them. It shows you how competitive these bees are here. Again, bringing it on home with the Emerald Flyers.
I'm seeing if we can jump in. Apologies on the jump around there a little bit. As I think Rob King might be able to help us out to get back in with Team CLS as big kick here coming from CLS. They were at the 24:37. They saw the battle here and they were wanting it. They're maybe even battling for first still, as it was only a 9-second difference.
Boy, that just looked ominous, doesn't it? The 6 riders together, all in black. What monsters that is. So that's pure quality, correct? That we were looking at, the CLS team?
The CLS team, pure quality, just across the line, yeah. And London Dynamo were the only ones still out on course. I'm going to double check here and see if we can find Chapman maybe to help us out to see where things stand. We'll also maybe see if we can jump around to a couple of the other Chapman, I think, maybe just about to cross the line. Yes, Chapman. Actually, I think they're pretty far back, actually. This is interesting. I think CLS had a crazy, amazing ride out here today.
They might have done it, to tell you the truth. We're going to find out pretty quickly here. But, boy, they certainly looked impressive. Now, was it enough? I can't wait to find out. Here's a team that's going to fight all the way to the finish. Unfortunately, they need a 4th rider here. We've talked about it. The devil is in the details.
This is tough here too, Dave, right? Like right here to be dropping riders, this is where the most speed is supposed to be.
Right, but what can you do? Again, if it was the 3rd rider's time, fair enough, but not.
Ooh, so
I understand. I mean, I understand. It's just this is the process of getting better at this. Is that rider's not that far back. At the end of the day,
Jackson out of South Africa.
Yeah, and actually, Jackson must have had a technical issue or something there, because roaring back. I mean, actually, bizarrely, it's only hundredths of a second difference there at the end.
And we're going to jump across to the C categories. We did say we were going to try and get across to all of them. And now that Zwift Power is giving us some more updates, we'll get the results in just a moment here. But the C category, it's going to be Keeley that's going to be helping us out, I believe. Let's look through Peter Keeley. Let's see if we can jump in with him riding for Team Ireland. And it's going to be the Ireland Green Dragons. And we'll take a look at the time splits currently for
a different Irish squad. The gentleman we watched finish a moment ago. 5 together here.
Green Dragons 26:49. Right on it here. We'll see if they can hold on.
Actually, yeah, this is a solid ride that they've put together. Good work, men. Here we go. Finish line. They got a team that they're bearing down on as well.
Yeah, it's going to be Z-Sun just ahead of them. That's going to be Z-Sun of the gun. Bregalato. Now for Team Italy, that is going to be Team Italy 3, 27:29. Did they bring back enough time to the Dragons? I don't think so. I think the Dragons can get the better of them on the day. Interesting to see BRT Visma, 27:40 in that 8th at the last time check. TFC Maserati, though, with the that was right up against it with the Galloping Stallions, though. We'll see how that ends up playing out. That was the last team, actually. I think maybe one more. See, maybe if we can find the BRT Badgers. There's actually some Badgers out on course.
Oh, there you go. Ask and you shall receive.
There are some Badgers out on course here, Dave. We'll see if we can find them. Good to see that a little bit of Wisco represented here. I think maybe David Swan helped us out, but I think most of the riders are across the line, so we may not be able to find anybody still. And of course, no, as you can see here, BRT just finishing up as well. So we'll see if we can bring in maybe some of the D category as we try and catch as many of the finishes as we possibly can. Wilkinson, David Wilson, as well as Pete Hathaway, perhaps going to be the riders that can give us a look here at the D's as they are starting the intestines here. And they are going to help us out. This is going to be David Wilkinson riding for CCC D1M. Let's go ahead and see if we can start bringing in some splits here for the final category we're going to be looking at on the day in the EMEA West 2 Division 1C. So Forastero has already finished. They were at a 27:20. Electric Spirit 29:21. RR Endangered Rhinos. WLRCC. Ireland Castleknock. FCCC Delta Squad. KVBB Racing Team. CCC, that's who we're looking at right here. D1X or D1M? That'll be the question. I believe this is who we're looking at here with that 31:54. Perhaps still to come through with the time here. I'll have to wait and see what the update's going to bring.
Yeah, they should be somewhere in the mid 42s would be my guess when CCC finishes up here. Not that far from the finish. You can see this is the heart and soul of the ZRL. When you look at the D level community teams, there's some real quality human beings that are having a lot of fun with the racing out here. Some of the best team names, the spirit, the camaraderie that you see is at an all-time high out there. They're all going through the same thing together, Nathan, and that really helps to forge a real friendship. Yeah, friends that suffer together, that take on challenges together, have a much different relationship than just the guy that you crack a beer with down the street.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. And I think the camaraderie between a lot of these boys has really solidified, especially over this past year. So it's always cool to see how much energy that there is. And it really comes out in all the posts and the communications that you see across the board. Now, Swan here, as you can see, this is going to be a rider. I'm going to double check here and see what we got. It's going to be KVBRT team. And where are these riders on the overall here? I'm not seeing. Oh, there we go. KVBB there. Currently 7th place, 31:13 as they bring it in. Wilkinson a little ways ahead there for the CCC team. They're really in a battle, it looks like, actually, with that CCC team currently. 31:13, 31:10 at the 18K mark. So right up against it here. And these final few turns will matter for that overall placing. We'll see if they get some motivation in the legs now, because you see that 29-second gap. That is definitely on their radar, but they're dropping Williams. And they need 4 across the line here.
Yeah, so just a little regrouping here. This is the teachable moment that we talk about. Just back off a little bit, the feathering it here to try to bring the group back together. I think at this point, a majority of the work is in the rearview mirror here. They've only got about another kilometer together, so you do the best that you can with what you've got at this point. Looks like they're back to 3 together here. So if we can just hold up for a moment, we'll get everyone together. Now, the time is taken off of the 4th rider. You don't have to be together to get that time, but this is Henry still out there fighting. My heart goes out to a rider in this situation. You're almost there.
Simon Henry, 155 beats per minute currently. Let's see if we can get some more information on Simon. And I mean, he's got to get to the line here.
If you're
waiting up here, Woodham's making it happen, but CCC's getting away at this point, getting a pretty good time gap, and what looked to be a 3-second gap.
Woodham's having his own set of issues going on.
Well, he was trying to help out. Now he's up at the 3.8 watts per kilogram. You know, and it looks like going to pull right on through. A little bit of downhill here. I think it's going to bring it back together. But look at the time when the disorganization. Do you see it was at 30 seconds and now it's out to a minute between CCC and the KVBB team. So you can see what happens with those kinds of situations.
That my guess would be there is that one of the things, the communication that we talk about, well, Discord, when you've got a group of, and I can say this being 55 myself, right? That when you've got a group of 55 to 65-year-old dudes, and you're putting together your team time trial team, that is probably not the easiest group of guys to get on Discord if they've never done it before, right? You know,
Gotta be,
there's
very true. Very true. I think
as Nathan will say, having coached me up, right?
about to get on Discord. What is it? An app? Do I do what? What is it? How do I get this?
It's only a 47-step process with Dave.
Well, I want to shout out though to Woodhams as well as Henry here, because as I look at the Zwift Power profiles, I mean, we're talking level 7 Zwifter. I think I saw
You're working hard.
level 7 Zwifter. This is one of his first goes. This is actually his third event that he's done, Simon Henry, and
Good
he's
for him.
involved in this D category, riding around. These guys were probably like, "Hey, come race the Zwift Racing League with me." You're like, what have you guys got me into? These people talking about my effort now on this stream, and Woodhams, I gotta hold
right
his
now,
wheel.
he's turning to his wife and saying, "Yeah, they said it would be fun, honey." Yeah.
I mean, this is. I'm loving this story here coming on out now with this team. With
And you know, this is
KVBRT.
the best point of all, right? So, okay, here we sit, right? That rider's going to be sweaty, completely out of breath, exhausted, been through the ringer. They did it. Heck yes. Now life is that much sweeter. You checked a box, you accomplished a goal. There were thousands of people today all over the world that said, I don't know, maybe I'll have the courage to race, but I think not. I'm going to pass. Well, you didn't pass today, Simon. Great job. I'm really, really impressed with those. Nathan, life is about showing up, right? And these days with COVID, it's easier and easier to not show up, to check out, to avoid accountability. Well, if you're on a team time trial team, you're accountable. The guys need you. They're going to need you next week. They're going to need you for the scratch race. They're going to need you on Thursday for WTRL. And I think that for so many men and women out there is the thing, is that feeling of, got a commitment. I'm needed. This is what I do. That's who I am. I don't bail. That's not in my DNA, and I love that. These people, our community here with Zwift Community Live, these are the doers.
And real quickly here, I want to give a shout out also to Mark Woodhams, who also he's a level 6 Zwifter. His first race was on January 6th of this year. British Cycling Crit Series, jumped right on.
Not even 2 weeks ago.
Not even 2 weeks ago. First race out on Zwift Power, level 6. So this team KVBRT is very recent and is picked up to Zwift Racing. So very cool to see, and being a part of the Zwift Racing League, and we're seeing this huge influx as we were talking about earlier. It's absolutely awesome. You said it's all about showing up. I feel like for us today, it was just all about showing up as well, Dave. Like, really? well.
I wouldn't say I mailed it in, but I would say I this was not my finest hour.
Well, I mean, there's only so much to work with sometimes when the data's not coming through, and a TTT is literally just all about the data. That's all we really got to work with, as well as some of the background on. I mean, we learned a little bit that if you don't know what Bath is, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble, just so you know.
It's a UNESCO site. I mean, I couldn't emphasize that as much.
I'm cutting gluten. You know, I'm blaming it on cutting gluten out of my diet. So there we go. That's why I didn't know anything about pan. So
well, it's funny because I actually on my notes have UNESCO site written down, but it's not for Bath. That we had another, Mont Saint Michel, which is that little island that you see in our French world. That's also a UNESCO site. So have to work on that.
I don't even know what we're talking about. So I mean, I'm way out. So okay.
World Heritage. World Heritage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So shout out to Mark Woodhams and the rest of that team. I'm looking them up here. We got A. Williams, Ben Calthorpe's there, James Williamson, John Wells, Lewis Irvine, Mark Woodhams, Michael Swan, Nick Pink, and Simon Henry. I want to know who the highest level Zwifter is on that team, because somebody got that going, right? Somebody invited all their buddies to be like, hey, we got this Zwift Racing League thing going on. Come and do this. This is going to be lots of fun.
Influencer.
Yeah.
An influencer in his community.
Oh,
I want
man.
to see, Nathan. We should check back in. What is the team name again? I'm putting it into my permanent notes so we can check in 6 months and see what level Zwifters, because I'm going to guess you'll see these guys 25, 30 probably by the time we get to
KVBB Racing Team Riders over on Zwift Power. The two that we checked in on were level 6 and level 8. Did I say
7?
I think I said 7.
I thought you said 7.
Okay, 7. Yeah. So, pretty green when it comes to the Zwift racing world. We're gonna get results in just a moment. I was told a minute ago that it was in 10 seconds. So I think we are good to go.
While we have a second, I got to give you a shout out for your Tour to Oz efforts, finding your way into the top 10.
Boy.
And then even a little better than that, Nathan, all of us back here at Zwift Community Live, we're proud of you.
What are you talking about? What are you we
you
had
got
a good
much better form than I could have ever thought.
So we did, what did we do? We did TTT Thursday. I called it the Tour de Guerra, just smash yourself. And it was 5 days of racing in a row. I didn't actually plan on doing the 5 days of racing in a row until at separate times in the week. I had thought, I'm doing the KISS 100. I got invited to do the Tour de Oz as a guest rider on the live stream. Someone invited me to do the TTT, and I agreed to all of these things at separate times in the week. And then I came to Thursday. It was like, I'm doing a 5-day stage race. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So it was a great weekend and lots of great racing. So lots of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in. We'll take a look at what we just actually, what we were just looking at first here. Sorry about the wait, everybody. Here we are still waiting on a couple of things with Zwift Power here as well. Let's jump in with the women first, and then we'll grab the rest of the results, as we do have the women's. Excuse me, guys, that's the wrong. Here we go. And Dave, we'll let you take that away.
Good. We have the results music. I know it's time to go. R3 are all same. Look at that time. Look how close this was as well. 35:45 was what it took to be on the top of the table. But Pro knocked us there in second, and they were less than 5 seconds back. 4.93 to be exact. Great job. The Bath CC Royal team doing Bath proud in third, only 12 seconds and some change back. Again, this is our Europe, Middle East, and Africa Women's Division 2A. Reve in fourth, Aeonian Banditas in fifth, LEQP, the Femme Forte in sixth, Team KST seventh, and the Betty Squad A rounds out our top 8 here for our Division 2A women.
And it's going to be the Bristol Swifts coming on through for first place, 36:20 SZEIR coming through for second. 26 seconds back. Real close 1 second gap between a herd of Cougar Carnage at that 27 seconds back in third place. And then it's going to be KRTB Dressed to Kill at 29.81 in fourth. Kirchmer Magnolia 47 seconds back. A little bit of a gap there to fifth. And then it's Aeonian Bravas there with a 123 back. Only 11 seconds to the Dolphin Triathlon V in 7th. CWCC FB 2 minutes gap to the leaders. TFC Furiosa 30 seconds back from that at 9th place. And it's going to be B Velocity in 10th, coming across the line with 5.
Let's take a look at the C's now with BRT Candy Kittens at 39.01 for the win. 12 seconds back was SAS PDQ. That'll take the silver medal. Bronze going to the IRL Serrano Hams 1 squad. 49 seconds back. In fourth, it's AHDRL, the Watt Cookies. Fifth place going to RCC, Women's C2. Potonia CCWC in sixth. Cryogen Angrilou in seventh. RCC Women's C in eighth. C2, I Raced Like a Girl Morgan edition in ninth. Herndon Dolphin C2 rounds out your top 10 for the C women here in Europe, Middle East. in Africa.
And then in the D category for the women here, it's going to be the Belgian Zwift Riders. Tigers won 43-34. Aeonian Divas, 26 seconds back from them for second. Rave D, 36 seconds back. A tight one there between them and the Dynamos from AHDR Ladies at 39. 53-second difference between the podium and fourth. CCY Race Cycle Girls, Artemisia, 120 back. PWCC LD coming in for sixth with a ghost time. And then it's going to be Herd of lots of ghosts out here today. I think there's a lot of boogeymen in Zwift Power. Seventh place is Herd of Dolphins 350. Ninja CC Ladies in the shadows with a 425. Satonia CCWD there, 524 back in the D category. And it looks like in the men's East, we are waiting on the A category to come on through, but we'll go ahead and show you what's coming in. For some reason, the A's are not loading at all. We'll let you know in just a moment, because there was a very hotly contested A's in this division. But for the B's there, Dave.
Let's take a look, and it's Kirkmeyer, the BBs, taking the win. Vikings Glepnir in second. Dirty Beast, the Hellhounds in third. 15 seconds from first to third on that podium. TFC Defenders in fourth. It's Dirty Beast Amarok in fifth. Bath CC Camden for sixth. The Belgian Zwift Riders Lions 2 edition in seventh. SZ Sleipner in eighth. SOW Gruppetto in ninth. And then the Vegan Bobcats rounding out your top 10 for our B's. That's the men's mixed EMEA Division 1.
And in the C category, Cryogen taking over at the top, 36-39. Kirchmer Hunting Bees there for the season. Second. Wow. 0.5. Less than half a second. Two guys getters. Gonna have to settle for third. And then at 46 seconds back from the leaders, DCR Fast and Fun. And then Vikings Cole in fifth. And then it's going to be Z Spania Ratons there in sixth. 32 Club C in seventh. Very tight racing between sixth through ninth, with Adam Racing Mastrons 108 back. RMACC 45 CDO at a 109, and PCCC rounding it out at 134 back from the leaders, getting across the line with four riders at 3.4 watts per kilogram. Goes to show that number of riders definitely does matter out on course. And no D categories there for this one. Let's go ahead and see if we can get an A category. And there it is. We are able to get an A category. It has updated. And Dave, go ahead with that one.
And it's GFTBE with a 31.44. They were flying to take the win today. The Swift Kids for silver in second. It's FCR in third. We're Elite Swifters number 3 in fourth. Two guys. That's going to be Caramulo in fifth. DZR, the Danish Dragons, in sixth. So we've got the Irish Dragons, the Danish Dragons now. DBR Warriors in seventh. BRC1 in 8th, R3R Dev ABBA in 9th, and then Belgian Zwift Riders Eagles 3. Round out your top 10 for the A's in the men's mixed Europe, Middle East, and Africa E2 Division 1.
And we've got the EMEA West 2 Division 1A, and it was Skylab, as we had predicted from the splits, flying out there today in the white and black kits. 31-17 with the time. BRT Thunder comes through at 4.9 watts per kilogram, 26 seconds back. OVB had to settle for third as they faded. Fabulous Berlin Hot Cranks also in that battle with OVB. OVB actually, I think, made up some time, though, on the Berlin Hot Cranks. Interesting enough to see, but it was BRT Thunder, as you can see, really coming through strong toward the end of the race. SZ Herma there for fifth place there, followed up by Z Sunderstatement in sixth. Restart Up Nation 3 seconds back from Sunderstatement there, 56 seconds back from the lead in seventh. Third Wolfpack 102 back from the leaders. TBR 52T in a fairly big ring, but not quite big enough to take down the top spots there. Cryogen Val Thorens there, 121 back in 10th place. B category then in this division.
And we've got Team CLS Pure Quality. Look at that. They did it for the win in the Bs. Cryogen Tourmalet in second. TBR 48T in third. AHDR Cheesecake Brigade for fourth. 30 Beast Alligators in fifth. Emerald Flyers sixth. 30 Beast the Behemoths in seventh. BRT Omega 8. Herd of Pacing Palominos in ninth. And the Dirty Beast Roosters round out our top 10 for the Bs. Congratulations,
Alligators.
CLS Pure Quality.
Behemoths, alligators, palominos, roosters. When are we going to get a full cheesecake? Essentially, I mean, it's an animal of it. A cheesecake's an animal of its own that can just take over your whole household completely. Plant-based animal of its own. When are we going to get a whole list of just animal names? That's what I'm wondering here, or just. Yeah. All right. It's the herd of galloping Stanleyans, of course.
Doolittle division.
At the top. Yeah. Here we go. More of them. I love it. Your C1M there for second. That's a solid herd of galloping stallions. That is pretty amazing at 2.8 watts per kilogram to take the top spot. In 10th place at 2.8 watts per kilogram. Very solid ride there.
Herd of efficient stallion.
Yeah, super efficient. Yeah. They obviously know what they're doing out there. The Ireland Green Dragons, we talked about them when we first came into to look at this category, and they were able to hold on to that spot there in third place. The BRT Badgers representing Bucky out there for me today in fourth. And then it's going to be TFC Caro Maserati. They're in Team Italy 3 in sixth place, 104 tied. Must have been less than a second there between them and Z Son of the Gun. C Son of a Gun, liking that name there. And then Bramley Wheeler CC there, Alpha, followed by RR Black Rhinos and BRT Visma. That is the situation here in this C category. And then the Ds.
Forastero, congratulations, guys. Massive effort out there for the win. It's going to be electrospirit.cod1 for the silver medal and the RR Endangered Rhinos. The most important rhinos of all, Nathan, right? In third, WLRCC Cat for fourth, IRL Castleknock D in fifth, FCCC Delta Squad for sixth place. It's the KVBB Racing Team in seventh, and CCD1X into eighth there as we wrap things up for the Ds. And week 2 of season 2 of the ZRL, our community in full effect. It certainly doesn't end the day, however, as more racing will continue. Just a few hours from now, we'll pick up the Americas, Nathan, starting with the East.
Yeah, it's going to be the East and then the West. And we're going to be myself and Dave the rest of the night, actually. Kate is actually on vacation, and wish her absolutely an awesome holiday and break with her.
Who at Zwift Community Live approved a vacation? That's unheard of.
Well, I was just told that was happening.
She said, "I'm going on vacation," and Nathan said, "All right, yes,
okay,
you are.
That's happening. You are going on vacation." So
we love Kate. I'm going to miss her. Not that it will be great working with you again for the millionth time, but no, I'm just kidding. Kate is the best, isn't she? We have Kate and Anna as part of our team. They start off the day with APAC. But
they do an amazing job. Amazing job on APAC. And I definitely want to highlight also one other thing, everyone, is the rest of the broadcasts through the 5th week have been scheduled on our YouTube. If you want to hit that follow button, definitely helps out, our subscribe button over on YouTube as well. It lets you know exactly when each one of those are scheduled, when we're going live. It gives an update and a warning if you turn the little bell on. Wherever you like to watch the most there, Facebook or YouTube, it does help a ton. The other thing on that front is we are covering, as you can tell, not the exact same divisions each and every week. So we will be shifting between divisions every week until the knockout rounds. And in the final knockout rounds, we'll go back to the top end of the divisions. But we will be working our way through the divisions as best as we possibly can with the weeks that we do have, and covering all the categories as best as we possibly can. So make sure to be tuning in for that each and every week to find out who and what is being covered. You can see over on Zwift Power which one does have the logo or the image on it to get an idea. when they do get updated at the beginning of the week. So that's going to be it from us, though. Great racing to all the racers. Of course, check out the rest of the results and the standings after this time trial out here today. Head on over to WTRL.racing for all the league information. If you're just finding out about the Zwift Racing League, we're in the season 2. You can get into season 3 when it is announced. And make sure to show up for more of the racing later today. America's East is up next, and that is one of the most hotly contested. I think it's Dave says it's his favorite every week. So be on the watch out for that. As always, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Right on.